That's embarrassing. That's what it is. That's embarrassing. This is a game you had to have. At bare minimum, you needed to come away with a point from this one. Not even because of Vegas and Marner. That was obviously the big story, and that's what you needed in general. But you are falling behind in the standings. The Boston Bruins are winning games. The Buffalo Sabres are winning games. You caught back up, and then you let go of your grasp on a playoff spot. You finally got to a wild card. Obviously, teams around you catch up a little bit. But you had an opportunity there to stay in the fight or at least start to make it more competitive, where you're not always the one who falls out. You beat Colorado. You send some type of message that, hey, you're capable of playing that way. And it came off the heels of a really good stretch of hockey for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Then you go into Utah, you drop a stinker, is what it is. Okay, throw it out, move on. Let's not let this define how we're going to proceed. Thursday, Vegas. Blow that one late. Vegas comes back. You lose in overtime. You lose the point. Lost to Minnesota. Everyone else around you loses. Okay, that's great. They didn't make up any ground. But you know what? That was a chance for you to get yourself back into a position of strength here amongst the Bruins and the Sabres, to put yourself firmly in that conversation, if not ahead of them, in a playoff position at that point. Nope, lose that one. Okay, loser mentality. Everyone else around us lost, so it's okay. Okay, sure. And then you roll that over into Wednesday. Up 1-0, stupid play end of the first, end that one off, lost point. Okay, now you are falling behind because everyone else is winning, everyone else is picking up points. Not only was this the Mitch Marner return game, in which you should have gotten up for anyways, the Vegas Golden Knights were coming in here on the second night of a fucking back-to-back. You had to be ready. You had to come out prepared. And you had to have more energy and more intensity than them from the opening puck drop, and you just didn't. You got drastically better as the game went on. I'm not going to take that away from them. That's there. But unfortunately, this is a tale as old as time with this group. And I don't want to hear about how this is just being this group this season. This is a problem that they've had dating back to Mike Babcock. They cannot start on time. I don't know if it's the guys in the room, the leaders, the coaching staff. I don't know what the fuck it is to make them get going here. But this is 10 years now. 10 years where these guys can't start on time. They did not start on time here yet again. In a game that you could not do that. You had the crowd behind you. You had the crowd engaged in this one, which is not something they normally are off the jump. It's a Friday night, so obviously they don't get to, have a crowd that's coming in maybe a little tired from going out Friday or spending a Friday with friends, family, whatever. They are fresh. They're off the work week. They're angry. They're ready to go into this one. And you could not give them anything to get behind you for. If you came out and played physical, you played hard, you played a fast-paced game in that first period, that building would have been losing their fucking shit, going nuts in support of the Toronto Maple Leafs to start this game, and they decide that's not what they're going to do. A slow, sleepy start to this one where you're down 1-0 a minute and 6 seconds into the game, and it's just an uphill battle from that point on. I said it this morning, and I'm going to go back to it here right now. I'm not trying to do, hey, look at me, look how right I was. This was the complete wrong game to be starting Anthony Stolarz in. Completely wrong game to start Anthony Stolarz in his first game back since November 11th. This game doesn't fall at the feet of Anthony Stolarz. The team needed to be a whole lot better in front of him for the first 30 minutes of this game. They gave up a ton of chances. But Anthony Stolarz was shaky back there, and they looked shaky in front of him. The Eichel goal, obviously not his fault. Can't blame him on that one a minute and 6 seconds in. But then the Kolesar goal to make it 2-0. Terrible rebound given up. The Dorofeyev goal to make it 3-1. I mean, that one not entirely his fault, but he's halfway inside the net. Great shot by Dorofeyev, but halfway inside the net. I mean, there's at least a handful of times you watch Stolarz here tonight swimming around, not comfortable on rebounds, not comfortable on screenshots, tough time battling pucks in front in traffic. He was fighting his way through this one. This is not a game you needed your goaltender fighting his way through. Joseph Woll had a tough go over the last little while. You go back to him on Wednesday night. He has a hell of a fucking game against the Detroit Red Wings. But guess what? If you didn't want to go to Joseph Woll, who seemed to have found his game again there after a slight blip over a couple where he wasn't at his best, you had Dennis Hildeby. You did not need to rush Anthony Stolarz back into this game. I don't understand why Stolarz didn't get an opportunity to play in some games down with the Marlies. You can send a guy on a conditioning loan and get the guy down there in the AHL. You can give him an opportunity. I don't care if he got shelled in the AHL in those starts that he gets. Go down there and play game speed hockey. Play in an intense competitive environment and then come back. On top of that, if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to put him down there for that chance, for that opportunity, you don't want to throw him down there in the Marlies to play a game or two to get that under him, send him into the game on Sunday against Colorado. I'm not trying to call that one a scheduled loss, but it's a sleepy Sunday afternoon game in a game that I think you're going to have a tough time in anyways. And let's face it, doesn't mean as much to the fan base as this one did here tonight. Incredibly strange decision by the coaching staff to put Anthony Stolarz in this game and say, hey, let's see how this goes. I said earlier in the day in the morning show when we talked about Stolarz going in, this is going to be weird because if he gets off to a weird start and he's got to find his rhythm in this one and the team has to battle back, it's going to be tough to close the gap on the Vegas Golden Knights. And boy, oh boy, were we proved right pretty quickly. 2-0, you're down. You make it 2-1 13 seconds into the second period, and then you let that thing get out of control, and now all of a sudden it's 4-1, and you've got to climb uphill. Great job battling back. Can't take anything away from them there. They made it 4-3, but just from the jump, this game was destined for failure. When you come out that flat in front of a goaltender who hasn't played in over 2 fucking months. Strange decision making yet again from this coaching staff ends up costing you, or ends up at least putting you behind the 8 ball, on top of the fact that the team in front of you wasn't playing that well to start this thing anyways, which is astonishing. I can't believe how many of these guys said it's just another game. Just say, yeah, we're getting up for it. Say we know how much it means, or at least approach it like you care about this one a little bit more, like it means something to you. You showed that in Vegas when you went there to play. You came out with some jump. You had some life to start that game. And then as this thing goes into tonight, all the comments are, oh, it's just another game. It's just another game. Okay, if you want to play calm, cool, and collected to the media and the fan base, that's fine, whatever. I don't love it, but it is what it is. And then you start this one like it's like Tuesday night against the fucking St. Louis Blues in the middle of January when you're first in the Atlantic Division. That's not acceptable. You're in a goddamn playoff race right now. Every game should be treated like a playoff game. That was an unacceptable start to this one and some bad decision making. There's a whole lot more to get to here tonight on the postgame. I mean, I'm frustrated with the loss. I am happy that they came back and made a push and they didn't quit. That's not something that they would have done in the first half of the season, but I'm not even going to point to the way that they played and the way that they've been playing over the last little while and say, hey, the way that they're playing is at least more positive and you could get yourself in the playoffs. The thing that's frustrating for me right now watching this happen and seeing these games get dropped and seeing them lose these games is that it's slipping away from you here yet again. It doesn't seem like Buffalo or Boston are taking their foot off the gas. Montreal, Detroit, Tampa, they're very much getting themselves far too ahead of you in the standings for you to catch up and climb your way back into any top 3 spot. So then if you look at the 2 teams in front, you look at them that you're chasing down, you need to be showing up for these kinds of games. 6 games now until the Olympic break, and you're in a hole yet again. You had a wild card spot last week. Short term, small picture, zooming in on this thing, I would say, yeah, you're fine. You're playing good hockey right now. You just got your goaltender back. You're going to get Nylander back at some point. You're going to get Nyes and Ekman-Larsson and John Tavares rested and ready for a push late. Maybe you get Dakota Joshua back. Short term, small picture, that stuff is great. And I'm not going to argue against that because I think that there are positives in some of this. The game itself is not a positive, but there are positives in some of this. And the last month of hockey, I mean, December 23rd was the date that this turned around. It's now January 23rd. So there's a lot of positives that have taken place over the last month. The problem is how you started. We can't play moral victory game. We can't do what Mark from Oshawa is saying in long stretches where it's you can't win every game. Unacceptable. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable thinking, an unacceptable approach. You just cannot be giving up points and giving up games and giving up momentum in a season like this, especially at this point, especially given how deep of a hole you had to climb yourself out of and are still working yourself out of. In any normal year, you're probably in a far better position right now, even if you didn't get yourself off to a hot start and get into a top Atlantic spot. Even if you were just hovering around the middle in a wild card, you put together the stretch that you did from December 23rd to now, you're in a better spot. That's not the case. It's just not the case. And it's a really, really frustrating game with a group who looked like they didn't quit, so I'm not going to put that on them, but it looked like they didn't care about how important this one was to the fan base or standings-wise from the opening puck drop. It's the unfortunate reality of tonight's game in a 6-3 loss to the Vegas Golden Knights at home in Game 51 of the season, and Mitch Marner's first game back in Toronto against the Maple Leafs. Lots to talk about tonight on the post-game show. We're going to open up the call lines later. I want to hear from you guys, Leafs fans. There's about 400 people here in the YouTube chat right now watching, commenting, letting us know in the chat how you feel about this game. If you are watching right now, hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel, Leafs Nation 401. Some housekeeping stuff to do along the way here. Just a note, every set of 50 likes, something I've done for a while. I'm well aware it's a bit or a shtick or whatever the hell you want to call it. I'm well aware it's stupid, but it's kind of fun, and the chat seems to love it, so I'm always down for that. We do the smelling salts here on the post-game show. 50, 100, 150, 200 likes. I don't give a shit what it is. I'll do it all the way up to 600 likes if we get there. We'll do the smelling salts here on the post-game show, so keep liking the stream as well. We'll open up the call lines in a little bit, but before that, we have our first guest of the program, who I'm certain is sharing at least a very similar frustration to tonight's game as I am. Let's welcome in Mike in Buffalo from the Hockey Hot Stove covering the Leafs. Mike, how's it going tonight?
Oh, wonderful, Zach. It's baffling. I made a joke during, I think, the second period before they really started to get back in this game. It's like Vegas and Toronto both played this game like it was a playoff game. And if you get my drift, because Vegas showed up, was backing a teammate, and Toronto looked like they were skating in quicksand. And I mean, as you just mentioned before bringing me on, the decision to start Anthony Stolarz without playing him in the American Hockey League, without having at least one, he played a couple practices against AHL shooters at Coca-Cola Coliseum or at the Ford Performance Center, and they plop him into the most important game of the year, which is another sign that Craig Berube, whatever he had, the accident that he had in the gym, I think his brain got scrambled, because that was just a dumb decision. It really was. Now, okay, maybe they didn't want to start Joseph Wall because he had, he stood on his head against Detroit. It was a stressful game in terms of physicality. Okay, Hildeby has played very well. I would rather play Hildeby, who has played well over the last, I'd say 6 weeks, than putting in a cold Stolarz, who has not seen a puck shot in anger since November the 11th. So that decision, I think, in a way, cost him this game, because Stolarz had no rebound control. He was, scrambling all over the place. Like the first goal, I don't think he had a chance on. That was just bad defense by the Leafs. But there were a number of goals that I would say of the five, probably three were his fault. So that's bad. That's a terrible decision by Craig Berube.
The other thing too is it's not just the goals themselves, and like specifically pointing to some of those. It's the way that he was playing. It was shaky. It was uncomfortable. This was a team that started like, I was watching that first period, and I think to say that they didn't show up wanting to play is probably incorrect. They looked uncomfortable or nervous, and like they were just gripping their sticks too tight, because it was like the whole time, every time, Mike, they got the puck, it was turnovers, it was bad passes, it was fumbling plays, it was misreading stuff, like, and that's the kind of stuff that I look at where in games that they've just gotten completely shelled to open up games, a lot of times it's like they look slow, they're just not paying attention, they're not interested. I'll give them a little bit more credit in saying that at least they were like not fully out to lunch to open this one. They just opened like shit. Like they just opened playing pathetically, and I think a lot of that was nerves or anxiousness or whatever. Like it was like they were going into a playoff game, because this is fucking what this team does when they go into playoff games. But then you had a shaky goaltender behind you. Like he was not giving them anything to feed off of. I think if you put a guy in there, the Eichel goal, I'm not going to blame him on, but if you put a guy in there who makes some really calm and cool, collected saves back there to open in the first minute when Vegas brought some pressure right away, maybe the team feels a little bit more comfortable. Maybe they can settle down a little bit more, have some more confidence in the guy behind them. Okay, the Eichel goal happens, but now let's see what happens as we go forward. Nope, Stolarz still shaky. It's unbelievable to me. Like, I think Berube, I disagree with people that his systems suck or whatever. I don't think that's the case. I think the group struggled to adapt to it. I think his systems are fine, but he needed to adapt. The group needed to adapt. They needed to meet halfway. It took too long, but they finally made the adjustment, and now you're playing much better hockey. The decision-making by Berube right now, Mike, it's unacceptable, dude. It's just so unacceptable. Line combinations, who's in lineups at times. Like, I can't understand why Calle Yarncroke is still getting ice time. The third line was struggling tonight all night, and yet there were still shifts in the third period where it was, like, just feeding them. And it's like those are the situations to me where you need points. You need this win. This game is so important. There are times where you could just run Auston Matthews out there as much as possible, because I know he didn't score, but he looked really good to me again. And it's just like, to me, give him the puck.
At 4-1, I thought they were going to pull Stolarz and bring in Wall, but then I realized they're playing Sunday afternoon. So if they pull him and they put Wall in middle of the second period, then he's going to be playing 2 games in less than 36 hours. So it was basically Stolarz. Once you started this game, take one for the team if you're down big time. That's an argument against starting him and putting in Hildeby. But I mean, for those who think that, this team, I mean, okay, they're 3 points out of a wild card, but this was the most important homestand because their record was really good at home, but now they've lost in regulation. They were completely flat against Minnesota. They lost, I think, a heartbreaking game against Detroit where their goaltender was great, and a bad decision, which I thought was a borderline tripping penalty by Moritz Seider on Cowan, but they weren't going to call.
Anthony Stewart shared that as well. He said the same thing. Yeah.
So Dylan Larkin, put the mustard on the hot dog after that goal. So they get 1 point out of that one, and now they lose in regulation to Vegas, and then they play Colorado and one of the hottest teams in the league in Buffalo, the remaining 2 games of this homestand, and then they go on the road before the Olympics. They could find themselves basically 5 or 6 points out of a playoff spot by the Olympic break, and at that point, Brad Treliving, don't even bother making trades to add players because you're out of it. I know they're probably going to sign Scott Lawton during the Olympic break. I think they're working on a deal. I haven't heard anything specific, but it makes a lot of sense. He wants to be here. They want him, but yeah. How about this? He was arguably their best forward tonight, at least when he played. He played 9 minutes and 42 seconds. What the fuck is Craig Berube doing? I agree with your assessment. Robertson got freight trained by Kolasar a couple times. He's a smaller forward. He tried, but he was getting bowled over. Easton Cowan was getting out muscled. That's probably the scouting report on the Leafs is that you can muscle Cowan because he's not strong enough. He's skilled, but he's not strong enough. Mm-hmm. You could have moved up Lawton on the wing on the third line and played him a little more. And they didn't. They played him 9 minutes and 42 seconds, and he got one of the 3 goals. So the in-game machinations when it comes to Craig Berube, they're just not there.
100%. I mean, you look through the lineup and who played what here tonight. Matthews leads the way for the forwards, 23 minutes and 30 seconds. I thought Matias Michelli had a pretty decent night, 19 minutes and 58. But to your point, Scott Lawton, who was going here, 9 minutes, I think it's actually even lower than what you said. I'm looking at the 9:28 that he plays. Why can't you find opportunities for him to go on a line with Nick Waugh? Why can't you find opportunities for him to get up into your top 6 at points if you're going to put him out there late in a game or a defensive zone draw where maybe you just need some help, like, hey, let's go Fogo, or let's go, even if it's not Fogo, Matthews takes a draw, whatever. Take Domi's spot on a defensive zone shift, get the puck out of the zone, get Domi back on the ice, because I'm not going to shit on Domi here tonight. I actually thought Domi played pretty well. He was buzzing offensively. He was helping create stuff for that first line. So no shade to him, but he's defensively liable. Okay, so let's avoid playing in our own zone. Let's put Lawton out there for more minutes. Let's give him those chances. Let's put him up in the lineup, because I got no problem with when things are going well, rolling 1 through 4, but sometimes you need to have that recognition here. Hey, let's condense this. Cowan, Robertson, tonight's not your night, guys. I'm not trying to shit on them big picture. I like both these guys. I like them in the lineup, and for the most part, I feel like I can trust them. But why can we not realize here something needs to change? We need to get these guys out there more. And I'm sorry, but that power play, you got to score. You got to score. And I don't know what it is about the way they're running it, if it's the guys on it, if it's the decision to leave them out there for as long as they did. I don't know what, but it wasn't clicking early. You needed the goal there. You're down by 1 late in the third period, and you just can't muster up enough dangerous opportunities on your power play as well. Like it just seems like it's just decisions all the way through this thing that are shocking to me and putting you in a bad spot right now.
Well, I mean, the power play, I mean, the problem is that, again, these teams are looking at this, probably the scouting report, and say, you've got one shooter, maybe two. Tavares in close is very good. Nyes has been a pass-first guy for most of the year. He's got a lot of assists and not as many goals as people expected him to have. Michelli is a pure passer, and and Riley is a distributor. So the only guy who's a shooter is Matthews, and they're sinking low and they're cutting off Matthews. I mean, there was always somebody right in his way to prevent him from getting a one-timer. So you basically, and it was only one power play. It was absolutely ridiculous that they only got one power play the entire friggin' game. So I mean, it's ridiculous. It's obscene how bad. I mean, how bad they played at times. I mean, I give them credit, like you said. They climbed back into this game at 4-3. They couldn't get that tying goal. They had a few opportunities, but I mean, one of the other things with their lineup, Berube, his lineup decisions have been baffling for most of the year. I mean, playing Philippe Myers at all is baffling, but you can't really cry about bottom pairing defensemen and fourth line forwards making a big difference. But when this team is really slow and you've got what I would consider a plus skater in Jacob Quillen, who has played very well down with the Marlies and who they've called up at times and played him a few games, and he's fast and he's a center. So what that would mean is you'd probably have either Lawton playing on the wing on the fourth line, or you move him up onto the third line. That's not a bad thing. That flexibility is not bad. And when Quillen played, he did not seem out of place. I mean, what I'm trying to avoid here, if I'm the Leafs, is the Alex Steves syndrome here. You've got a good player who you never give an opportunity to, and then you let him go, and he goes someplace else, and lo and behold, he's playing for the Bruins. It's like, I'm not pissed off about them trading Fraser Minton to the Bruins because they got Brandon Carlo and they needed a right shot defenseman. But you give up players. You give up a Pontus Holmberg because you don't want to give him a qualifying offer, and he's on the friggin' Swedish Olympic team. That's what I mean. It's like, I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's the free pieces. I get what you're saying 100%. It's the free pieces. You can look at the trades and we could say overpay, whatever, as much as we want. I think Brandon Carlo has been really good since he's come back from injury. Aside from really the game against Minnesota, that was the one I looked at and was like, I don't know. But I think everybody struggled in that one. It's a good point though. Like, okay, you give up Grabenkin in that Lawton trade, which is proving to be probably a pretty fair trade for the Maple Leafs, especially if Lawton ends up extending, which I don't really have an issue if they do that over the Olympic break, and you consider him being like a key character piece you can keep in a retool moving forward, as long as that's the goal. Okay, no problem. I got no issues there, and I think that the Grebenkin trade to the Philly ends up being okay. The Minton one stings for people because I think he's like this young darling who the fan base is like, oh, look how cute this guy is. We love him so much, and blah, blah, blah. And then you trade him. Yeah, like, it's like, okay, that's great. Yes, it's probably an overpay, but you got what you needed, you got what you wanted, and you've got a guy on term at a salary that's retained by the Bruins. Okay. What's frustrating is letting pieces go that don't need to go, or not giving some of those guys a try that just end up walking at some point, i.e. Steves, Holmberg, etc. I get it there for sure. One thing from this game, too, that really frustrated me was getting away from what they were doing so well when they were on that run. So there's two pieces to this to me here, Mike. You jump in or you tell me if you disagree here, but the first piece is playing with pace and tempo, right? They've done that. They're figuring that out. And you can see in games like this, okay, yeah, they got behind, but I don't think that Vegas just flat out outmatches them pace and tempo wise. I think they're better, but I don't think that this is like, what the hell are we doing? This is two different leagues out there on the ice. I don't think that anymore. How I saw them play earlier in the season, that's probably what we would have walked away from thinking from this game. Not the case. The other piece of it, which is going to sound really Neanderthalish, but I think it's the intention behind the build of this team, is playing with physicality. And I think people in this market oftentimes confuse physicality with the big brute who punches everybody, i.e. Ryan Reeves. It's not that. Right. It's winning battles. It's hard on the forecheck. It's a strong cycle game. It's being tough to beat below the goal line. It's not giving up pucks. It's about finishing checks on the forecheck, or at least, at bare minimum, closing out time and space on guys quickly to not make it easy on them on a breakout, or when you turn pucks over. Are you getting the second, the third chance opportunity, or are you at least closing out on guys? Those two things, they were marrying together very well, where it was like, we're going to go down, we're going to put offensive pressure, we turn the puck over, we lose it, whatever, bang, we're on you right away. You're not going to have the easiest time breaking out. If you do get up the ice, we close on you in the neutral zone the best we can. We take away the gap. We have defensemen who are surfing across, taking away time and space. They close on guys quickly. They were also scrumming, which I know is like the dumbest thing for me to point out, where people are like, oh, this guy's scrumming. Like, I'm basically here with Berube's cut on my head talking about scrumming, but like they were battling every single whistle. That part of the game is kind of just being half-assed over the last week since the Colorado game. Like, Colorado was the pinnacle of truculence, if you want to call it that, married with speed and pace. They've tried to play speed and pace and kind of being like, we're probably good if we just don't play as physical anymore. Wrong. You're getting caught in some of these. And I think if you showed up tonight and went balls to the wall and played a physical game against Vegas, you would have had a better opportunity to come away with a better result in this one.
Well, they played that way, as you said, against Colorado because they got their dander up and they said, this is the best team in the league. We're going to go into Colorado and show them. And they did. They won in overtime. And then they were asleep against Utah. I think they shot their bolt against the Avalanche, and they had nothing. They had no energy against the Mammoth, and the Mammoth took advantage of that. But then in Vegas, the first half of the game, they were the better of the two teams. And then 5-3 in the third period, and they blow that game. I mean, I don't know whether that was the turning point in the momentum of this team, but they come back from the road trip, and they were dozy against the Wild. I saw the Wild play in Buffalo a couple nights before, and they didn't have like 5 forwards or 3 forwards and 2 defensemen. They didn't have Boldy. They didn't have a couple of their top 6, Marcus Johansson. They didn't have Brodin and another one of their top 4 defensemen. So they were shorthanded. They beat Buffalo in overtime, and then they come into Toronto and they walk all over the Leafs. So, and I'm sorry, they have been boat raced by Detroit. They've lost all 4 games to Detroit. I think they're very thankful they're not playing the Red Wings again this season. They lost the 2 back-to-back early in the season, and then 2 in overtime. So I don't know if they didn't get up for that game, but there didn't seem to be the requisite effort that they need to beat a division foe. And then tonight, they were the slower of the two teams until probably the 10-minute mark of the middle part of the game. And This is who was the team that played the second of back-to-back games? Yeah. If you watch that game in a vacuum, if you didn't know what happened in the last couple days, and you watched that game and you looked at how Toronto and how the Golden Knights played, who was the team that is playing in the second of back-to-back? And I think most people would have said Toronto, because they were slow, they were lackadaisical, they were tentative. Like you said, they were gripping their sticks. Vegas opened the throttle wide open, got the lead, and held it. And that's what good teams do. That's why I made the joke. This was like a playoff game. And Vegas, who's been successful in the playoffs, they played it like it was a playoff game. And Toronto, who has not been successful, who seems to shrink from every challenge or most challenges, they shrunk again.
It's kind of funny you keep saying Vegas played like a playoff game. I don't know if you've taken a look at the box score, but it seems like everyone kind of fell back into their normal playoff ways because Mitch Marner, 0 goals, 0 assists, even on the night, 1 shot on goal, no blocked shots, no hits. Just very pedestrian
Big
night.
Big game, Mitch. Let me just say this. I'm a reporter. I'm somebody who has watched hockey since I was 4 years old, but even though I'm a reporter, I'm still a fan. The performance of the fans at Scotiabank Arena tonight when Mitch Marner carried the puck, they booed at every single instance. That was justified. I don't know if it's classy to applaud him during the video presentation, but I know I got a number of responses from a number of Leaf fans who were sickened by the fact that they applauded this guy. It's like, Keegan Colasar, when they're coming out for the pregame skate, rips a jersey out of a fan's hand that basically said, I guess it said 16 sellout. Yeah. So it's like, okay, is he going to get scolded by the National Hockey League like DK Metcalf did with contact with a fan with the Steelers? I don't know if that's going to happen, but all I know is that was underneath the skin of Vegas, and they played with a burr under their saddle.
Yep.
Whereas Toronto, all they did was talk about, this is just another game. This is one of 82. Not to the fans of this team. The fans didn't want you to go run Marner into the boards. They wanted you to show the vitriol that they felt with this guy denying a trade to Carolina for Mikko Rantanen. How would he look in the Toronto lineup right now? Or what the organization didn't do over the last few years. They wanted their team to reflect their angst and their vitriol, and they didn't. This team basically treated it like it was one of 82, and they got a loss.
I think that's been something that this team, and maybe it's, to be honest with you, maybe it's organizationally, it's been something that's kind of been going on behind the scenes for like a long time, whether it's PR and how they train these guys to speak and approach things and stuff. I don't know for sure, but my point is more so that it's been going on for so long. And what it is a disconnect between the fans and the players. And I think that's why the fan base gets so riled up or pissed off at the team for moments like this. I can name so many times over the last 4 years that I've been doing post-game shows, when I first started doing post-game shows on YouTube, where it's like, here is a Battle of Ontario on Saturday night where the Sens come in and all they do is talk shit about the Leafs or say how bad they want it or blah, blah, blah. It's not like a specific incident, but it's just, hey, we know Hockey Night in Canada, we want this one bad, all this stuff. And then the Leafs, it's like, another game. This is just, we're ready to go. And then they show up flat. And then they don't show the same intensity or passion or care or vitriol, as you said, that the fan base carries. And I think that's where a disconnect starts to happen. And I mean, it's even evident, and I'm not mad at the guy. Like, it is what it is. And I think he probably, of all people, is also someone who just doesn't know. He just has no fucking clue. But like Joseph Wall asked about it, and he's like, I hope he's shown respect and stuff. And it's like, I think this is just a disconnect with, like, the fans hate these people. The fans hate these teams. The fans, right or wrong, and maybe it's a strong word, they hate Mitch Marner. And they want to see you come out here tonight, and they want to see you play your dicks off. You don't have to go out and try to hurt Mitch Marner or hurt guys on the other team to get through the emotion that the fans want, but they want you to play hard. That's why these older guys, Darcy Tucker, Ty Domi, Daryl Sittler, Wendell Clark, Doug Gilmour, Gary Roberts, they're so loved by the fan base is because they played their nuts off every single night. And, the Battle of Ontario and rivalry nights against the Habs, Leafs fans go into it despising Habs fans. Habs fans despise Leafs fans. And then you watch the product on the ice, and it's like intense from the moment the puck drops to the moment it finishes, and they talk about hating each other and the rivalry, and they care and it matters. The Vegas team went into this one in every interview they did. And to your point, Stolarz ripping the jersey, and then Bruce Cassidy and all of them, they talk about it means so much to Mitch, so it means so much to us, and the money on the board. And then Max Domi pregame interview says it's just another game. And it's like,
right.
They can say that they give a shit about it, so why can't you? Why can't you do that? And then that's when the fan base loses that, or has that disconnect to the team, because it's like, we care so much, right or wrong, we care so much, and you just don't display that same level of intensity that the fan base carries with them.
Yeah, I mean, Joseph Woll is, I've been in locker rooms with him. He is a genuinely good guy.
Yeah, I have no problem with him, by the way.
No, I know. But the thing is like, this guy, Marner, was with this team since he was drafted in 2015. He's been a staple of this organization. Apparently, he was the guy who organized the parties and he was the social guy, even though his outward persona with the media is basically very sensitive, let's just say. But in the locker room, he was everybody's best buddy. So, of course, the way Max Domi talked, the way Joseph Woll talked, that reflects it. Matthews didn't want to take any more Mitch Marner questions. I saw some comments in the chat that he was a no-show. I have to tell people, Leafs PR rotates the players that go to see the media. So if Matthews talked the last game, which I think he did, he would not talk before or after this game. They would give you Tavares, or they would give you Riley. It's on a rotation. You don't get the same player, even if it's the team captain. You don't get the same player every night. So I don't think he was dodging the questions of the media. I just don't. I think it just wasn't his turn to talk to the media. But the whole point here is they did not reflect the angst and the pissed off nature of the Leaf fan base. And I think, very few, I could remember Benoit throwing a check. I could remember Lawton throwing one.
Yeah.
Brandon Carlo accidentally elbowed Stolarz in the nose and bloodied him. But there was barely a hit thrown in anger in this game. Vegas, they were into it. You got Eichel with his red face and his ears sticking out, doing the Ric Flair woo after he scored the goal. They were overjoyed every time they were sticking it to Toronto. And when Toronto scored, very businesslike, tap, 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 let's go to the face-off. Fans want to see emotion.
Yeah. And
they don't get a lot of emotion from this team. And that, I think, is sad, because I think they would feed off of it, and they just don't get it from their team.
A lot of people in the chat right now are saying that 34 was embarrassing tonight. 34 was a ghost. He did nothing.
Oh, my God.
I adamantly disagree with that.
Yeah.
I adamantly disagree. I think he had a slow start, much like the rest of the team did. That's fair criticism. And he, as the captain, should be leading the charge in terms of showing up to play or bringing that tempo and that pace and setting the tone. With people there. No issue criticizing the start, and we want to point fingers at Matthews for the start there, no problem. To say this guy was a ghost, he did nothing, whatever, I have to just stop right there and strongly disagree with everybody in the chat who's suggesting that idea here tonight. I thought Scott Laughton, Auston Matthews, they were probably the two most notable Leafs offensively at bare minimum for this team tonight. I thought they looked really good. I thought Matthews in particular was generating chances from basically like the second period. Yeah, and even his line, I think a little bit before that, before Vegas had spread that thing out to 4-1, I think they started to get going a little bit there as well. But they spent a lot of time in the offensive zone. They were creating chances. They didn't give up really anything in transition. I thought Matthews was hunting pucks like a dog. He was closing on guys. He's never going to put guys through the glass, but he's a guy who can take away with his stick and size that space that guys get when they're trying to get out. I thought he did a great job of that and turning things around. So I'm sorry, chat. I get that people think he was he was bad tonight. That's your prerogative, but I cannot walk away from this game and say, wow, the captain didn't do enough. Sure, he could have scored, Mike. Okay, got me. You don't score every game, and he's been on an absolute heater. The least he could have done is create a ton of chances here and absolutely go balls to the wall in the offensive zone. And I thought he was doing that and generating for his line mates. So I can't agree with that at all.
Yeah, in the first period he was a ghost, but everybody was a ghost. They played a terrible first period. They came out, like I said, like they were skating in quicksand. Then they came alive. I mean, they got the early goal from Tavares, but then they fell behind 4-1. I thought from about the middle of the second period to the power play, he was phenomenal. He was fast. He was getting chances. There was a one-timer at the side of the net that I think was set up by McMahon that he hit the side of the net and I think missed scoring a goal by about 6 inches. You could complain that the fact that he wasn't a 60-minute player, but none of these guys are. It's very rare to have somebody who is on every shift of every game. It's just the nature of the game now. It's like even Connor McDavid takes shifts off. Sorry to say, but the one thing that with Matthews, he lost the matchup against his U.S. Olympic teammate Eichel. Whenever they matched up, Eichel got the better of him, I would say definitely for the first half of the game. And then there was one shift late in the second or early in the third when he slammed Eichel against the boards. And then it seemed to be like sort of even. But, right now, without Nylander in the lineup and with other players struggling, this team needs Matthews to score almost every night. He didn't score tonight, so I understand the people in the chat saying he was a ghost. He was not great early on. He was very good, I'd say, from the middle of the second period to the end of the game. But that wasn't enough. You needed to put together, and not just him, but everybody needed to put – they needed to play like their hair was on fire, and Vegas had a fire extinguisher.
I see people still disagree, but it is what it is. I don't know, man. I can't blame that on him. Also, I just wanted to say as well, I kind of forgot to bring it up, but the other thing for me when it comes to speaking to the media, okay, when their kids rotate or don't make them available as often, sure, whatever. I didn't like that they didn't make them available ever, but I think that actually contributed significantly to these guys being as bubble wrapped as they are and probably making the mistakes they do in the medias because they didn't just get out there and say shit and face people. This isn't a Matthews decision, so I'm not saying this is him who's choosing not to do this. This is the Leafs, and the Leafs PR need to snap out of this thing. I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers in Toronto doing this. We're obviously trying to build a relationship with the Leafs, but he's the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. You got to get in front of the media. You have to. And I look at Dion Phaneuf. Brian Burke talks about it all the time. He went up there every single time. Shit went sideways, bad games, 18-wheelers, all of it. Dion Phaneuf, love him, hate him, whatever. He soaked it. I'm the captain. I got to go out there and face this thing. I got to go out there and answer these questions, and he did, and he dealt with it. And again, I'm not saying this is Matthews' choice because, as you pointed out, they rotate it. You need to make the captain available every time. Okay, Thursday night game against Anaheim, sure, who the fuck cares? Maybe that one, you don't roll him out. Friday night, Vegas, Marner return. The guy's got to speak, man. He's got to go out there. He's got to answer questions. He's got to be made available. Like, these things have to happen, and there's just a disconnect with some of the stuff that happens. So I just wanted to point that out because you brought it up, and I forgot to jump in on that. But like, the captain of the team has to speak up. Everybody else can rotate. I don't give a shit, but the captain's got to speak, especially like this.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I understand that, and I think you're right that he needs to speak more often. I think what they try to do is, I mean, Leafs PR is very good. They're a bunch of very professional and really good guys, but, their job is to protect the players and sometimes protect the players from themselves. And if Matthews comes out and talks to the media every game, he's probably going to get flustered. And, he's very good with the media. He doesn't say a lot, but, he's pretty glib sometimes. I think that their job is to protect their players from the media. Now, one of the things I think has been a problem with this organization is their lack of being forthcoming when it comes to injured players. And it's like Anthony Stolarz has day-to-day for 2 months, and then we find out it's a nerve issue. And then all of a sudden, he's skating at Ford Performance Center or at Scotiabank Arena, and he's traveling with the team. He goes down for a conditioning stint and starts after 3 days on the conditioning stint. He doesn't play for the Marlies. He steps right in. We don't know the exact nature of William Nylander's injury. We don't know when Chris Tanev, if he's going to have surgery or not have surgery. Matthews was a mystery. It's like, how about being a little more forthcoming when it comes to every other team gives you details. This guy broke his leg. Connor Timmins with the Sabres. Lindy Ruff came out in the post game and said he broke his leg. He's out 6 to 8 weeks. I think you would have 5 or 6 members of the Toronto media having a heart attack if Craig Berube came out and said with any specificity that a player had this wrong with him and he was going to be out for this long. I'm sorry. We're in an information business here. This is not the CIA or the KGB. You can share that information.
Yeah, you can. And in the playoffs, okay, sure, yes. Sure. A short-term basis, Nylander leaves last game. What just happened? Okay. You're not going to say what he went out of the game with because he comes back into game 6 and you don't want to let them know so that they don't target it because they do target it in the playoffs. Or at least if you play the Florida Panthers, that's a team that is 100% targeting that shit. So, call it what it is. They are. That stuff's fair. It's the regular season, man. We know how every other person on every other team is dealing with injuries. The fact that there has been such a veil of secrecy put up around some of this stuff and injuries and lines and all that kind of stuff, it's nuts to me how they handle this stuff. Mike, I'm going to open up the call lines here in a moment for people, but I appreciate you spending this time. Any final thoughts from tonight's game? 6-3 loss to the Vegas Golden Knights and Mitch Marner's return. Another night in which you fall a little bit further in the standings. Actually, also, just by the way, you know what's infuriating to me is the NHL schedule and the points.
Yeah.
Or not schedule, point system and stuff. Like the Vegas Golden Knights are first place in the Pacific. They have 25 wins. The Maple Leafs, who are on a pace here now to be 10th in the Eastern Conference, have 24 wins. How can we be waiting these overtime losses? Like, just get to overtime. Get to overtime. We'll get a point. That drives me nuts. Like, I'm looking at the records. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? But anyways, any final thoughts?
No, I think they're 7-8 in overtime games, which though all those loser points, I mean, they add up, but they're not 2 points. Gary Bettman and the NHL have had their head up their rectum for the last few years when it comes to the divisional playoff system. It should be a 1-8 conference format with the 2 division winners being 1-2 like it was back in the day, but they don't want to they want to preserve the rivalries of the division. Do you think people are sick of seeing Florida, Boston, or Tampa in the first round? Ottawa's now in the mix. But do you think people in Toronto are sick of those matchups every year? Not because they can't beat them, but because for most of this time, those have been the best teams in the league, and it's unfair. Now, the Central Division is going to be an absolute friggin' joke this year because the top 3 teams in the NHL, Dallas, Colorado, and Minnesota, are all in the same division. So you're going to have 2 of the top 3 teams in the NHL knocked out by the second round of the playoffs because they're going to be facing each other in the division of death. But as for tonight's game, I mean, I think the people who looked at the schedule when it was released in July, I think, and circled this game and spent their money and maybe went in the secondary market and bought tickets for $500 or whatever, where can they go to get their money back? Because what they expected was this team to show up and, like I said, reflect their pain and reflect their emotions. And this team played like they were playing shinny on a Sunday afternoon. And that's sad.
Yes, it is. That first period was just so disappointing, given how much hype was put into this game, and to be down 1-0 a minute and 6 seconds in, have a goaltender who looked shaky, have a team who just looked like they didn't have the sense of urgency that the fan base had. It was a really frustrating disconnect to start that one. Glad that they battled back. Like, if they just quit in this one, Mike, the post-game show, you would have been on here 25 minutes later than I had you on, because it would have just been 40 minutes straight of me yelling and screaming to start before I even had you on. So I'm glad they battled back, but to start this way, just unacceptable. Mike, I appreciate you for doing this here tonight, for jumping on with me as always. I don't really feel that positive about the rest of the season, despite how the last couple of weeks have gone here now, just because of this stretch of hockey they put together and what you're looking at heading into the Olympics. But maybe, just maybe, the next time we have you on, we'll have a more positive outlook. It's not impossible, Mike.
It would be nice. Thanks, Zach.
It would be nice. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it as always. There you go. Mike in Buffalo. Hockey Hot Stove covering the Leafs. Appreciate Mike for jumping on here with us as always. To you guys in the chat, if you want to call into the show here tonight, the link is pinned at the top of the chat. Over 600 people watching here right now. Subscribe here to the channel, Leafs Nation 401, right here on YouTube. We've got callers piling in here on the post game, so we're going to get to all the callers. I want to hear what you guys think about tonight's game, the team as a whole, the team moving forward, the effort we saw from the group as well. There's a lot of people who were outspoken about Auston Matthews and saying he was a ghost, or he was bad, or he didn't play a good game tonight. I disagree with that. I would have liked to see him score or produce offensively a little bit more. That's a fair argument. I'm willing to go back and forth, but I want to know why people feel this way about this game. Anybody and everybody is welcome to share their opinion. So get in the chat, like the channel, subscribe to the Leafs Nation 401. We are breaking things down every single game immediately following the action. So if you're new here, if you're just coming back for the second or third time, or if you've been here from day one, this is what the show is all about as well. I brought it up earlier, but every set of 50 likes here on the post-game show, we do the smelling salts. Right now, we are currently sitting at 125, so we're going to do 50 likes. That means we do the first set of smelling salts. We will do another set for the 100 in a little bit. And then if you guys get this thing up to 150, 200, which I hope that you do by the end of the show tonight, I will continue to do more and more smelling salts. So thank you guys for liking, subscribing, watching, all of that. We're going to get to calls right after this. Thank you. Here are the smelling salts. There you go. I feel like that start and delaying you guys on the smelling salts deserved a little bit extra oomph on that one. Just a reminder too, by the way, sorry, another thing. We do take super chats here on the post-game show. So if you guys have thoughts, opinions, questions, comments, concerns about the show, the game, the season as a whole, whatever, you want them read, you want them answered here on the show, proceeds from our super chats go to Sick Kids Charity, Canada's #1 research-intensive children's hospital, #3 in North America. Get those comments, questions in. Proceeds from our super chats do go to Sick Kids Charity. So, just rattle off a couple of these super chats that we've got here right now. Going over to the super chat section quickly. Ceci Roth says, Matthews doesn't talk before or after game. Shake my head. Mike pointed it out. That's not a Matthews thing. I know that's frustrating. I agree with people. I think he should speak. He is the captain of this team, but it's not him saying, I don't want to do it. I don't want to go up there. I don't want to speak, as far as I'm concerned. So that's where I'll give him the defense. But the team, the PR, all of it, they need to do better in terms of giving him more of a spotlight and letting him go. KPG, Berube had a 10-inch gash on top of his skull, plus a black eye. Not a gym incident. Yeah, I don't know what the hell that was, but as was pointed out by somebody during the game who sent me a picture of Berube on the bench, looking all banged up and angry and bruised and battered, and they said, maybe don't let this guy make goaltending decisions, at least for a couple of days, to which I laughed, but was also a good point. Benadil, Stolarz was handing out rebounds like Oprah. You get a rebound, you get a rebound, you get a rebound. He was tossing out rebounds everywhere. That's kind of why I'm just like, he needed to work his way through this one. Okay, do it against Colorado. Western Conference opponent, but it's like it matters even less than this one did here tonight. Yes, you still want to win those games. You don't want to say, hey, we're just going to hand this one away. It doesn't matter. Who cares? That's not what the point is. It's just put him in one that doesn't mean as much. Put him in one where you can have a guy, or if the team is sleepy in front of him, it's like, okay, yeah, it's Sunday afternoon, happens. This one you needed to be dialed right from the beginning, and that included the guys in front of him cleaning things up, but like they looked shaky, they looked hesitant, they looked tentative, and then Anthony Stolarz carried that through, and it was like he never gave them confidence to settle down 10 minutes in. They didn't really settle down in this game until he did. That was far too long into this game. It was 4-1 and 30 minutes had passed. You can't have that. Colin McGillis, the Leafs might be trying to tank. Playing Stolarz is an insane call by Berube. Trying to tank is the only explanation. Yeah, I mean, the decision-making by the coaching staff is egregious right now. Cowan in OT. I love Easton Cowan. I don't mind him in overtime, but like against the Red Wings, a team that you're trying to catch in the Atlantic Division, playing him with John Tavares, bad decision-making. Scott Laughton not playing the last minute, or Nick Waugh not playing the last minute against Vegas last Thursday to close that one out in a one-goal game. Bad decision-making. This one here tonight, not playing Scott Laughton more than 9 minutes and 28 seconds when he was on fire when he was playing. Bad decision-making. Like, that is unacceptable. This stuff is unacceptable. Nate Dogg, Auston Matthews is just a loser and an embarrassment. It's way past the point of discussion. A big game tonight would have been very out of character. Look, points-wise, I agree with you. You want the production from your big boy. I too wish that he scored. I too wish that he produced more. I'm not going to disagree with that. And it's also frustrating with the fact that he didn't open this game with enough jump to lead the team into the fight, drag them into the war, and be ready to go from the opening puck drop. That's frustrating to me as well. But I think that he played well throughout this entire game. Like, I thought he generated a lot here tonight and spent most of the time in the offensive zone creating chances. So, I don't know, man. So there you go. There's the super chats. A lot of people want to call in tonight. You want to call in, click that link pinned at the top of the chat. I want to hear from everybody. Let's get to our first caller here on the night. I don't think we heard from him after the last game against Detroit, but we're welcoming him back to the program here now. Mando on the line. Mando, tough loss for the Maple Leafs, 6-3 to the Vegas Golden Knights, and just continuing what is a little bit of a lull for this team here right now. What did you make of this one?
Hey, Zach. Yeah, the first period was really ugly. I'm not sure what was uglier, Berube's head or the first period. It was pretty, not pretty. But when you go down 2-0, you can't go down 2-0 to the Vegas or any NHL team, to be honest, in the first period. That's a big hole to climb. But I want to go back because, like you mentioned, I did miss coming in to Detroit, and I remember last week I said circle Detroit. This is a game because number one, it's Detroit, right? It's a rival. They're in your they're in your group, and they beat you 3 times, right? This would be a sweep. To me, to be honest, they're talking about this being the biggest game by Vegas. I think the Detroit one, that one, they really needed to win. That one told me that I'm not sure anymore. Like, previously before Christmas, they were playing like dog shit, but it was abnormal dog shit. It was like, you know what, this is not going to stand. Like they're gonna turn around, and they did. But this is the time where they needed to sustain it. Like Detroit, they really needed to beat Detroit. That's just my opinion, because I think that's a hinge point. Now getting to this game, I don't know how and why Eichel was just sitting alone I mean, any one of us could have scored that. I mean, he
Yeah.
just sat there, and he
They
just
were
kind of tapped
asleep.
it in. It just blew my mind. And then like Mike said, he did the yelp. You can hear it from freaking Young Street probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just infuriating like that. I was like, oh my god, like it's so embarrassing, you know. And then the second goal was all of the rebounds, the rebound control. Then there was the I don't know what Tavares was doing. He was on his knee and he just kind of gave it up. And Marner's prototype there. What's his name? Um, he's wearing 16, but he seems to be a leaf killer, whoever the hell he is. Um, I don't know. It's just this was a really frustrating game.
Dorofeev.
Dorfeev, yeah, there you go. I call him Marner's prototype, but he killed the Leafs in Vegas last week.
Yep.
Um, it's just and then there's all this Marner hype. Like, God, we need 2 points. Like, it's just that I think there was so much talk about. I don't care, to be honest. Like, yeah, it's Marner's homecoming. Okay, I don't give a shit. The most important thing is 2 points. Like, the Leafs legitimately may not make the play. I'm more pessimistic now than I was, you know, before Christmas, where they were playing like dog shit, like real dog shit. And now I'm even more pessimistic because this is the time where they needed to make hay. They lost all three of their home games this past week, and it's
I
it's
think
just
for
yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, go
No,
ahead.
no, no. Go
I
ahead.
I was just gonna say I think for me that what I feel right now is like just this level of disappointment. The way they played early on was at least easy to look at and be like, this is not a team that, if playing this way, will make the playoffs. Like, this doesn't just turn around and all of a sudden you get lucky and start winning if you play this way. They completely turned that around. They played a very different brand of hockey, a very different identity to them through that period, and then they get themselves a little bit of hope and they get a wild card spot after that win against Colorado, and all of a sudden you can look and be like, okay, we're there. You keep this going, you play this intense, you play with this much passion, you play with this much attention to detail, you're going to get through this, you're going to get back to a playoff spot. Right now, how it feels, it's just disappointing because you got all those points back, which means that you distanced yourself from the very bottom of the standings. And now, if you just skid like this into the Olympics, you're going to be in a big hole again. You're going to have to make up a lot of ground. And the teams ahead of you aren't losing points. They are not dropping points. So that is really, really scary to me, where it's just like, man, I feel like we are a lost cause. Like we're just lost. Like we're in no man's land of this year. And that is what is frustrating about this season.
Yeah,
And this stretch.
the only other team is basically Ottawa. They're the only ones losing. Everyone else is winning, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's eh, and then the whole goalie thing. Like I was shocked too. Like you have Wall. Okay, if you didn't want to have spend Wall tonight, you had Hildeby. Like why in the f? Like why didn't he play with the Marlies? It's baffling. We're talking about Stolarz now. It's that I'll never understand that. Um, the other thing is, it looks like the third line is kind of um, tailed off. Cowan and Robertson. They've been dormant for the past ever since they returned from the road trip. I like you said, the decision of putting him on in OT with that monster named Cider,
Yeah.
bearing down. That was, I don't know if he was the right person, especially like you said with JT, not defensively the greatest. That could maybe help in that regard, but I don't know. Like it's just we slowly just walked back all of the progress, like you said, and I don't know. William Nylander, sitting in his tank top in the stands as he in the rafters. Is he going to come back as Mr. Willie or Dr. Nylander? That's another unknown. Hopefully he comes back and helps this team. But at this point, I'm really pessimistic. Like I don't know if they're gonna pull this one out. To be honest, there's gonna be a lot of soul searching, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not very optimistic about the way things look right now either. Where you're at in the standings, the injuries that are piling up, it's really really frustrating to just keep dropping these games and ones that are so important to us here as well as a fan base. So on top of all that, it's tough. Any final points here, Mando? We got a bunch of people that are loading in to call in tonight and give their thoughts on this one. So I want to make sure I give everyone a fair shake, but
sure.
Anything else you've got?
Sure. No, nothing else that I can think of. We'll just see where this thing goes. I mean, if they can get back onto a winning streak before the Olympics, that's going to be key, I think, if there's going to be any chance. But not looking great right now.
Not looking great. Not looking great. All right, Mando, thank you for the call tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And hopefully you call in Sunday then, maybe. Hopefully you call in Sunday. Thanks, Mando.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Mando on the line. Appreciate that. We'll get to more callers. Again, people want to call in. You want to give your thoughts on this game, this season, whatever they can do going forward. I'm open to all of it here tonight on the post game. Game 51, Leafs lose 6-3 to the Vegas Golden Knights and fall a little bit further out of that playoff contention as everyone around you just continues to rack up points and pick up points night in and night out. We did hit 100 likes here on the post game. We are 3 away from 150, which means more smelling salts. Here is for 100 likes here on the post game. There you go. We get to 150. We'll do that again. Just a quick reminder to people, if you haven't already, subscribe here to the channel, Leafs Nation 401, right here on YouTube. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 150, 200, 250. There's enough people here tonight. We can hit 600 likes on this thing, which means we'll have to do smelling salts 12 times. If we do it, and we hit that number, I will do it. Chat can attest. They've been here. Like the stream if you haven't already. Keep it going. We'll keep doing smelling salts. We will keep answering your super chats as well, but we've got callers in the meantime. So want to continue to answer all the calls. One quick thing before I go to the next caller, I want to just say about Mando's point about the third line. They are a third line. So when you look at your bottom sixes and stuff, they don't score every night. It's going to happen. The thing for me was this was a game that you needed to recognize your third line was not going and make adjustments. I thought Nick Wall was fine. I think Nick Robertson and Easton Cowan very much struggled in this one. So if you go and you make a change and you take those two and you put them on your fourth line, or you take one of them and you put them on your fourth line and you double shift somebody else. I thought McMahon was going tonight. I thought you could have put Matthews into a role where he played even more tonight. Obviously, he ends up playing a lot of minutes, but finding different opportunities for them to go out there where, hey, Lawton can go, Waugh can go, but they play together rather than it just constantly being like, okay, third line's got to go now. Here comes the third line. They can't really do much. Cowan and Robertson struggled with the size, the pace, the physicality here in this one tonight. I think a lot of that was just them having an off night. I don't think that that's who they are as players. I think that there's a development curve going on with Cowan. He's learning. But Nick Robertson, I think this is just an off night for him. I just think Nick Robertson had an off night. Off nights happen. No problem. But as the coach, you need to address that. You need to realize, hey, this guy's not going. Play somebody else. Move somebody else into a different spot tonight. Scott Lawton playing 9 minutes and 28 seconds tonight is a disgrace. And the fact that he's not getting these opportunities and not getting more minutes and not getting more chances and not getting elevated in the lineup just makes zero sense to me. And I don't know if this is another situation where Brad Treliving needs to send a message to Berube, needs to have another conversation with him or what, but the comments that Berube made the other day were extremely concerning to me as well before the game against Minnesota when Nyes was in a 50-50 about whether or not he was going to play. He's hurt. He's banged up. Okay, Lawton can go into the top 6. Lawton is going to play on your second line right wing, or he plays the left wing and Michelli goes over to the right wing. However you wanted to play it, okay, that's fine. And I'm not advocating for Scott Lawton to be like your second line winger every single night. When Nylander comes back, everything can slot out a little bit easier. But Craig Berube made a comment saying, oh, I could put anybody there. Like, anybody who's going, yeah, he's going there tonight. It seems to me like outside of penalty killing, Craig Berube basically just doesn't trust Scott Lawton in the way that us as a fan base have come to trust him. And I'm not trying to say us as fans are smarter than Craig Berube. I'm not intimating that we are smarter than the coaching staff and the GMs or whatever, but Brad Treliving brought Scott Lawton in here to be a guy who could help you on, at bare minimum, your third-line center role. And from the day he got here, he has been Craig Berube's fourth-line center. To begin last season, yeah, he wasn't playing that well. So fourth line, okay. Playoffs, wasn't playing that well. Fourth line, okay. Now the guy is on a roll. He is playing unreal. He's starting to put together some points. And some of that, sure, probably comes with playing against opponents that aren't as good and opponents that he can take advantage of because they're lower down in the lineup. But if you put him with more talented players, if you put him in more with a role with more responsibility, I strongly believe this guy is going to succeed. And you look at his minutes tonight, and then you look at how the guys ahead of him in this lineup played, Robertson, Cowan specifically on that third line, to watch Scott Lawton play a minute less than them. Like 1 minute, maybe one more minute for him tonight could have helped make a difference or could have given a bit of a jump to the third line because that's 2 more shifts out of Scott Lawton. Maybe that gets Nick Waugh going a little bit more. Maybe that helps him out tonight. And then you could have 3 impactful lines rolling. It's really frustrating for him to just not be giving these guys these opportunities. And then the other side of it as well, my final thing before I get to the next caller is like, as far as the coaching decisions go, Morgan Rielly is not playing well offensively right now, or that well offensively right now in terms of a guy that's going to go out there and be the one who's on the ice when you need a goal, or on the ice in a 1-goal game and you're trying to keep that thing clean in a 4-3 and you're trying to make sure you're not giving up chances and mistakes and stuff. Morgan Rielly is susceptible to that. The power play running. He's not the offensive guy that he needs to be running that power play. Here's a good time to put out OEL or put out Troy Stetcher, who seems to be doing well offensively out there. Like, there's a good chance for those guys to take a bigger role offensively, and yet it's still Morgan Rielly every night who's got to go out there and who's got to be the guy running power play 1. I cannot understand the stubbornness that takes place. I get you trust guys, but how do you not see what is happening? Same goes for Calle Yarncroke playing as well. Like, why? Why is he in the lineup every night? Why is he in the lineup every night? Does Berube just not trust Holmberg and he didn't trust Steve, so he didn't want to play them and he wanted Kampf and he wanted Yarncroke instead? Was that a Treliving decision? Regardless, bad decisions. Now you've got Calle Yarncroke holding Jacob Quillen out of this lineup, who, not trying to suggest to anybody he comes in here and he's like a 20-goal scorer, but Yarncroke does nothing. He just skates. He just plays. He's just a guy. Put someone else in. Give someone else a chance. Tons of callers. Like tons of callers waiting. I'm going to get to every single caller on the postgame tonight. And let's start with Vito the Don. Vito the Don, how you doing, man?
Zach, what's going on, brother?
Not too happy with this loss, to be honest. I think that in general, you did a great job battling back. I don't think that this was a terrible game like Utah or as bad as it was against Minnesota, but that's a bad barometer to set when you're playing against Mitch Marner in his return game to Toronto. That's not acceptable to be like, well, it was better than those ones. So I'm frustrated, Vito.
Well, listen, I think we're all tired of the consolation prize here. We're trying to console ourselves and thinking that the effort's there and they did good, and then we find excuses that they had back-to-backs, and there's always something that we're dealing with. I just want to talk about the Stolarz thing just for a second, because you and I had a conversation before the winning streak, right around the time that they fired Savard. So my point here is we've got 6 games to the All-Star break, or the Olympic break.
Yep.
Yeah. So why in the heck are we rushing a guy back with 6 games to go when I think we can both agree that I think Wall and Hildeby together have been reasonably well. They've had the odd bad game, the odd bad goal, but a lot of those losses you ain't going to pin on the goalies. Okay? So my take would be I would have rode Wall and Hildeby into the Olympic break, given Stolarz plenty of time to get where he needs to be. And then I'm going to go back to where you and I had the conversation before the winning streak, when we were talking about the only solution we had was to, hey, we got to let Berube go. Remember that conversation? They were down on their luck, and it was like, what can we do? And they decided to let go of Savard instead of Berube. But at that time, we said that we were going to see where this team was going to be at the Olympic break, and that was going to be the telling tale. So the reason why I haven't called in the last 4 or 5 games is because I knew this was coming down the pipe. That winning streak that we had was fantastic. It was good, but all the other teams were kind of pulling points at the same time as well, right? Mm-hmm. So the bottom line is this. We're going into the Olympic break now, and this team, like you said earlier tonight, might find itself 5 or 6 points out of a playoff spot. And I think we both agreed that we were going to sell the farm. We were going to let these guys off the hook. I think if we go into that break and we're 5 or 6 points behind, we got to let these ballerinas play out the rest of the year. Okay? They're going to play out the rest of the year, whether they finish 10th, whether they finish 15th in the conference. These guys got to play it out, and they got to either sink or swim, because listen, this team, and I'm saying, I've said this from the beginning of this year, this team, in my opinion, is not a very, very good team. No. And they're nowhere near being an elite team. This team has hit the pinnacle of their peak, and they're like the stock market. They're going down. It's unfortunate, but I just can't see it, man. If you can convince me that there's really a big light at the end of the tunnel, then I'm all ears.
I guess the only thing that people are holding on to, Vito, and I guess maybe myself as well, is they played that hockey for that stretch, which was basically like 3 weeks. And I know I saw the people in the comments being like, 3 weeks doesn't define the season. Okay, I'm not saying that it does. The point is that it gave a sense of optimism that they were playing the style of hockey we thought they were going to play when True Living assembled this team in the summer. And I think the one thing that we've learned to this point, as you pointed out, is they are not a very good team. They're a good team. Like, let's not be rash about this. They are a good team. They are probably not a really good team. They're probably an average team here right now, and they're getting average performances by a lot of guys on a nightly basis here over the last week and a half, and they got below average performances from guys through the beginning of the season. You get average performances at minimum through the start, you get a better start, you probably get more points, you end up in a better spot, and it's just not being the case. I think the one thing that people are hanging on to, Vito, is just that was an optimistic stretch where it was like, hey, we could play this way, and the other piece is, guys are injured. You know OEL and Carlo, or OEL is banged up. You know Carlo got nicked up and he battled through it here tonight. You knew that Anthony Stolarz was returning at some point, so that light is there. William Nylander's not playing right now. Dakota Joshua's out, and he was part of that run where the team started to play a lot better. Like, there were a lot of these things that are around that make people feel positive, and the fact that you're still hanging on right now, I think, is where the optimism is. But I'm with you, man. Like, you fall out of a playoff spot here by a decent chunk of points, and by decent chunk, I mean, like, you fall out by more than 5 or even at 5 points or more, I think that you're in a dark spot playoff-wise, because you're down to a short runway to get to the playoffs. You're down to a shorter runway to get to the deadline after the Olympics, and I don't think there's much that you can do to add to this group to fix this and make it a great team or an elite team or anything. I think you're too far off of that, and they're showing that, especially over this last bit. It's just not been good enough hockey, Vito. It's not been good enough all season. It's just frustrating to me because, like, they can play better than this, and they shouldn't be in this spot, but they did it to themselves because of the way they played to begin the season. And maybe that's a blessing in disguise, because then we don't get ourselves too optimistic about this team and go into the playoffs and get disappointed again and have to waste assets on stuff. But still, I think you'd rather be in the playoffs.
Well, I think, to your point, setting the expectation, and if they're not, like, listen, injuries are injuries. We understand that, but all other teams have injuries as well. But I guess where I'm going with this is, and I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, is that you're going to get to the, let's say to the trade deadline or whatnot, and maybe you're not in it. You don't want to go out and sell the farm. You want to be able to retool at the end of the season. I know, maybe I'm going way ahead of myself here, but in lieu of everything that's happened, should it go that way, you don't have to have a fire sale. You just got to understand that you did have all these injuries, and maybe it's just one of those years where things haven't gone your way. So you got the off season to come where you're going to have a higher salary cap. You've got a lot of cap space. There's a lot of good things that you can do when it comes down to that, if it comes down to that. Now, I know I'm jumping the gun here, okay, but I just don't see, we're seeing the same kind of mistakes from our veteran players. Okay, I'm going to start going postal now. From our players, game in and game out. Like, take a look at Riley the other night in overtime. The shot around the boards. Like, come on. McCabe tonight on that last goal, when you've got yourself back into the game again. I mean, we're not talking, your sixth pair defenseman or your third pair defenseman making these mistakes. It's a lot of the times the top line on the ice for a goal against, or, Detroit in the first period. What was it? 20 seconds left and you got the face-off in the offensive zone. I smelt it coming from a mile away. Yeah. These are the kinds of plays that this team keeps making over and over and over again. And it's been happening year after year after year with these guys. They don't have a sense of game management, time clock management, play the clock. I don't understand. And it's the veteran. It's a lot of the times it's the veteran players failing to execute to make these plays. One thing too that you're talking about there, and it happens again tonight, is Jake McCabe. And I don't want to do a shit on Jake McCabe session here right now, Vito, but this is a bad stretch of hockey for Jake McCabe. He's really been struggling, and maybe it's his age, maybe it's the schedule, maybe he's tired. I don't know what the hell's going on, or if his play's just falling off in general, but he's having a tough go of it right now, Vito. And I look at the Vegas
I think it was or not the Vegas game, the Detroit game, sorry, when he steps up, as you said, on that offensive zone draw. He steps up to pinch at the defensive blue line on a 3-on-2. Detroit gets through. They get in odd man. They go backdoor, score on that one to tie that thing up. 17 seconds left. That's a bad pinch by Jake McCabe. There's a few different instances over the last little while where McCabe has just been lost a little bit or lost some battles or whatever in the defensive zone. Well, there's another mistake from him tonight, Vito. It's 4-3, third period, and he's 1 foot above the goal line in the corner and fires it through the slot where nobody is. It's very reminiscent of the play Morgan Riley made in the last game against Vegas, where he goes high and wide, takes a low percentage shot, and it misses, and it sends Vegas off the other way on an odd man rush. That's another one tonight. He fires that thing from the corner. There's no one in front. There's no reason for you to be taking that shot. Take 1 second, hold on to the puck, find a guy in a better spot, put it around the boards to Domi, who was in the far corner. Try something. And instead, he shoots that thing to the slot. It goes out the other way. Vegas is off on a 2-on-1. Mark Stone scores. It's 5-on-3, or it's 5-3 late in that game, and the game's over. That's a bad mistake by him.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about, right? And these are veteran players that you're relying on to make these plays. And it just seems like these guys just don't seem to get it. And, Riley's another one, we won't go down that path, but, he hasn't had a very good year. There was so much great talk when he came into the season about how he was really going to up his play and all that. Well, you know what? It just really hasn't happened. But listen, I don't want to hog it all up. You got a lot of calls coming in, so let's give somebody else a chance here. But listen, we're going to hold it. And when that Olympic break comes along, we're going to have another conversation because I have a feeling we're not going to be in the greatest of position, especially with all these other teams, picking up points in front of us. And we don't have an easy road. The next couple of games aren't going to be that easy either. So, it's going to be another test of time. But, it's like this team's just like a roller coaster. It goes up, it goes down. And I just don't think we're going to have the consistent. I have a feeling it's going to be an off year this year with all the injuries and everything going on. So the expectations, I think we need to set a little bit lower and see what happens. Doesn't make me any happier, but what can you do?
Well, and that's fine. It's fine to have that happen if your expectations are realistic, Vito. I know you're going to get out of here after this, but I just wanted to at least say that before you leave. It's fine if that's the case, if the expectations are realistic. Hey, we made these moves. We tried this in the summer. It's not working out. We're dealing with injuries. We're having a tough time. We have only had one of our goaltenders here for we've never had them both play at the same time until right now, tonight. It's just not been that season for us. We played piss poor at the start. You can't blame that on injuries, but everything has piled up together here right now. This isn't our year. Okay. Let's get ourselves set to come back at it better next season. Let's move on from some pieces. Let's get some young guys. Let's start fresh. Let's have some picks going into this summer. Even if you don't go and draft guys at the draft this year, you recoup some assets and maybe you can swing some of those for players in the summer. Maybe guys become available that you didn't know were going to be available. And it doesn't have to be via free agency, but guys could sit out there that you say, yeah, I'll try to pluck that guy off. Hey, we'll take that guy and we'll make a project out of him because look at what other teams around the league have done. Look at your Florida Panthers, for example. Look at your Tampa Bay Lightning. Look at the Pittsburgh Penguins. Those guys, those teams find guys on second chance opportunities or players that haven't worked out somewhere else and you're going to give them a shot here. Maybe that's the approach that you take for the rest of this season or whatever, but you reset, you recoup assets, and you get ready to go back at it again strong in the summer. I think that that's fine and a fine approach to take, but if you go into this deadline expecting to make trades to make the playoffs and then you miss, we are in catastrophe land. It's a dark spot.
Yeah, we're on the same page there. I think that was my whole point all along. I mean, you don't want to just blow it all up. You want to really think about it. And there's a lot of cap space. We're going to have a lot of cap space. There's going to be a lot of things to do. It's not like I'm throwing in the towel or anything. Don't get me wrong. But my expectation, even if they make the playoffs, it's not going to be anything high. Like when you start talking about, competing with the Colorados, the Dallases in a 7-game series. Come on, guys. This is where you got to start thinking a little bit realistically, especially with what they are and the issues that they've had all season. So maybe, you can't, what's the word I'm looking for? You can't really put yourself in a position where you're going to throw everything up in the air. You got to really just take it systematically and think it through. And I think we'll find out after the Olympic break how things are and where we are, and we'll have a better understanding there for sure, Zach. Okay, buddy. Well, listen, have a great evening. Thanks for taking my call. Okay.
Of course, Vito. Always, I appreciate it, and look forward to hearing from you again sometime soon.
Yeah, and just another thing, there's a couple of guys in the chat that don't have their mics muted, so I kind of sent a message out there. So maybe you can let these guys know that they're coming through when the other guys are talking. So, all right, have a good night.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Good note. Have a good night, Vito. Appreciate it. There you go. Vito the Don. Appreciate his calls here always. Yeah, just a note for people going forward. Unfortunately, there's no way for myself to have everyone muted. The Zoom call goes in and everyone builds into there. And then I pick one at a time and mute and unmute everybody as they come through. So there's no opportunity for me to make sure everyone's quiet in the back. So if you're in the background right now, you've joined into the Zoom call, please just mute for the time being before you come onto the show, and we'll get to everybody, but you got to stay muted for the time being. We had 150 likes. Working our way towards 200 here now. Keep liking the stream, people. Keep liking the stream, please, and thank you. Subscribe, like the stream, all that good stuff. I know I'm being annoying with it, but please keep liking and subscribing. Here are the smelling salts for 150. There you go. Oh, Jesus. 150 likes. More calls to get to quickly before I get to those calls. Super chats have come in. This one in particular. This comes in from Michael. Thank you, Michael, for the super chat. Michael says, Zach, can you please do me a favor? Pull out a picture of Tree Living and Florida GM Bill Zito. Show them to your father and girlfriend and ask them who looks dumb, please. Michael, thanks for the super chat. Not going to do that. I don't know what that accomplishes. What if I show them and they say that Zito looks dumb? What point have you proven here, Michael? Thank you for the super chat, though. Proceeds from our super chats go to Sick Kids. More calls on the line, more people liking, more people subscribing. I want to talk to everybody. I want to know how everyone feels. The link to call in is pinned at the top of the chat. Also, just a note here as well. Donnie Does Dishes says, what assets, Zach? Donnie. What I said was you recoup assets. You trade people on the team to get assets back. That's how this works in the NHL. All right, let's get to the next caller here. Brett Hall. Brett, what's up, Brett?
Hello?
Brett. Yeah, I got you.
You got me?
Yep. What's up?
Hey, Zach. I just want to say I've been following you for a long time.
Appreciate
I
that.
appreciate your work and your former channels that should not be named. But
thank you.
I just want to make a quick point on this game, and I'm going to go right away.
Okay.
I was just a bit upset with the energy that they came out with. I thought that, given the circumstances, that the Leafs would come out with a little more vigor and energy, but they came out a bit soft, and I was a bit upset about that. But I'm gonna let you go, and I'm gonna get your response and make way for another caller. And thanks for taking my call. Bye,
Brett. Appreciate the call. There you go. Thank you. Have a good night. I mean. Well, first of all, just a quick note. Shout out to Brett for watching and sticking with me all the way through. Appreciate that, Brett. That's nice to hear that somebody has followed along and not just said at some point, this guy's a fucking moron. Why am I watching this shit? I'm out. Which I'm sure a lot of people have, but Brett, Brett decided to stay, and he's been with us here for a while. So thank you to Brett. Also, I loved here, and I'm not saying this is what everybody has to do, but I love Brett just being like, I'm in, I'm given a point, and I'm out. That's it. Thank you, Brett, for the call. As far as the energy and everything went from tonight and the intensity and stuff and the lack thereof to open this game, I 100% agree. And that's where I can side with people on the Matthews conversation for this one tonight, but where I disagree in terms of the full body of work through 60. I thought he played a good game. I thought he was really good through the entire second half of this one. I know it's too little too late, so I'm not trying to give excuses there on that, but yeah, they started slow, and Matthews is for sure a guy who's got to step up and grab the bull by the horns and get that thing going from the opening puck drop, whether it's in the room and getting guys going and getting guys fired up and making sure people are prepared. I don't know if it's the coaches or the guys who are around Matthews. I don't know if he's I don't know if he's a guy who's that talkative or whatever, and if that's the case, then he needs to be the guy who's going to start with his play early on to get the pace going and get the tempo going. So that is for sure a fair argument. I can't disagree with people on that. The team as a whole, though, what is infuriating with this group is it's not just this year. It's not just this night. It's not just this game or this team or this construction of players and roster. It's a 10-year fucking issue. How many fucking times do we talk about starting on time? Mike Babcock said it 3 billion times, and we got sick of it during the period of time that he was here with this group. Start on time, start on time, start on time. He was right. There are a lot of things we could be mad about the Mike Babcock tenure here in Toronto. No issues. I am also frustrated with Mike Babcock and treatment of players and all that kind of stuff. Okay, no problem. We're all on that. They do not start on time. And specifically in their own barn. They kill the energy from a fan base and an arena that struggles to have it anyways. They don't have the energy. They don't have that get on your feet, raw mentality from everybody who's in Scotiabank at the start of the puck drop anyways. Most nights, it's not even full until partway through the first period because people are coming from dinners and getting sushi under the stairs and all that kind of stuff. Okay, whatever. You pay your money, you get there, you do whatever the fuck you want, I guess. But they are late to those. This one tonight, they were there. People were in their seats. They were ready for this one. They were ready to boo the fuck out of Mitch Marner in his return to Toronto. They booed his ass in warm-ups. The second he touched the puck, they booed him like crazy. And yet you couldn't be ready to play until 30 minutes in. Yes, they scored 13 seconds into the second period, but it died immediately after. It was one shift of life. It was like they got out the shock paddles or whatever the hell those things are called. They jammed it to the chest of the team and they went, there's one. Do we got something? They saw a little pulse and then it just went back to nothing. Until 10 minutes later when they finally came to life, when they finally showed up in this one. They did not show up on time, and that is infuriating. That effort is unacceptable. That lack of attention to detail is unacceptable. They needed to be better from the very start of the game. Hope that answered your question, Brett. Next caller on the line. Let's go to our guy. He's been active in the chat here. He's called in a bunch more recently. Scott Thompson. Scott, are you as frustrated as I am and the other callers here on the postgame tonight?
Yeah, I'm pretty frustrated. And I admit it started this morning when I was on the stream in the morning and you guys said Stolarz was starting and I was just shocked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, it's a weird decision to go with Anthony Stolarz tonight. I wonder, they brought it up on the broadcast, and I think maybe there's something to it where he says he wants this game, which I think a lot of people would want this game. So, okay, no issues there, but this is a weird decision. You know, like, You could have hit it a little bit more on Sunday at 1:30 against Colorado. It's a game against the number one team in the league, and an afternoon game, and everyone probably would have been like, well, you were slow getting into that one. Can't blame Stolarz. You can hide it a little bit. Maybe he faces a bit of an onslaught, but maybe that's the way you break him in. This game was so important. You needed to break up the slide that you're on because you lost to Utah, you won against Winnipeg, you lost in reg to Minnesota, you lost in OT to Detroit. You're on a bit of a skid over the last 2 weeks here or so. Stolarz was not the guy to play tonight. I'm sorry. There's no shade to Anthony Stolarz. I'm not trying to shit on him for the night or anything because I think he shouldn't have been put into this game, but he looked shaky. He looked like he was fighting the puck a bit, and you couldn't afford to get behind in this one. You couldn't afford to have this game against Vegas be one where you were going to fight your way back in against a Vegas team that was in here looking for blood and looking to win for Mitch Marner. It's very, very confusing why Anthony Stolarz was the guy to go in tonight, especially when you had Joseph Woll, who, okay, yeah, you don't want to overplay him, sure, but he played a really, really good game on Wednesday night and looked like he found his mojo a little bit. And then, by the way, Dennis Hildeby, he's been quietly fucking unreal over the last stretch. He can't go in. Like, you couldn't have played Dennis Hildeby for one more game to get you to Sunday. Weird decision-making, in my opinion. Weird decision-making.
Yeah, I mean, I was joking in the chat saying that Marner's security guard and his dad ganged up on Berube, beat the shit out of him, and forced him to play Stolarz. But I think you are right. I think it comes down to Stolarz coming and saying, hey, I want this one, and Berube not wanting to mess up his confidence a bit. I mean, I remember earlier in the year, I don't remember if it was directly between Stolarz and Berube or not, but there was sort of a little bit of issues with the dynamic. And I think it is late in the season and you need Stolarz to come back and be hot. So if Berube says no, it could get awkward. But I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, you're totally right. Stolarz can afford to shit the bed on Sunday. He's going to get an excuse, but not in this one.
Yeah. Also, like, I'm sorry, Stoli, but if we say no and you're not going in there, deal with it, dude. You know, you just missed 2 months of hockey. If we decide tonight's not the night for you, tonight's not the night for you. We need 2 points. We need wins. We're in a position here where we can't just sacrifice games to trying to get you back up to speed. You didn't even play a conditioning stint with the Marlies, which just seems just odd to me. Like, you sent him down to practice? You sent him down to practice? What is he doing going down there to practice? I know that in this condensed schedule, you're not practicing the same amount, but just to practice? He's facing shots. He needs to face game activity. He didn't play one single game with the fucking Toronto Marlies. It was an easy option. That was a layup for you to do. And instead, you played him in your biggest, most anticipated game of the season. And whether it was for the players or not, I don't give a shit. It was for the fan base, and it was for where you're at in the standings. You needed to show up ready to go tonight. How in the fuck do you not make that decision to either get him more reps before playing tonight or just not play him tonight at all? I cannot wrap my head around that decision. Practice, Scott. He went to the AHL to play and practice.
Yeah, I mean, we even talked about it the last time I called in. I had asked what you thought, and right away you said he's definitely going to go down to the AHL, and I wish I hadn't brought it up. Maybe it was a bit of a jinx, but yeah, now we're in a tough one now for sure. Like, because Stolarz now, we needed him to have a good game to come back. That's what we really needed. We can't afford to keep having things go wrong, and I think we're really in one. One thing I wanted to ask you about is if you think... who do you think is going to go to the Olympics from our roster at this point?
I think all of them that were selected are going to go. I think there's no... well, Auston Matthews is going. Yeah. OEL plays, he's going. I can't imagine a world here where William Nylander misses the Olympics. Like, these guys care so much about their national teams. I get it. Like, I also have the pride to my country where it's like, if they ask me to go, I'm doing everything I fucking can to be there. But he's going, man. Like, these guys, they're going, those three. I don't think there's anyone else on this team who's got any type of opportunity to be selected to a team. So I can't imagine a scenario where anyone else is getting the tap as of right now. I guess the only guy could be technically Matthew Knies if he's on the outside of the U.S. roster looking in, but I can't foresee him being the next call. So I think all three of them go.
Yeah, you're probably right. And one thing I've been quietly thinking is that part of Willie's, not returning to play and leaving after a minor thing is that he's being precautious because of how much he wants to play in the Olympics. Whereas maybe if it's last season or next season, when he doesn't have to worry about that, he's going to play through something like that.
Potentially. I don't know what the extent of the injury is, so I can't speak to it. I have no idea, but I don't know. It's a weird thought though too, Scott, because it's like on one hand, Matthew Knies is battling his dick off for a month and a half, and Nylander is just not. I can't imagine he could. I don't think honestly he could be playing right now and is just choosing to sit out. But I could be wrong. I don't think so though. I think that he's a guy who would play if he could.
Yeah, true. With Knies, that guy's
just personal opinion. It's not anything factual. Just personal opinion.
Yeah, we'll get into Knies. It's sort of like one thing I've said before as well is I want Knies down on the fourth line with Laughton and Lorenz, especially if he's playing through injury. I mean, we saw it again. There's been a few times where Knies does get out there by chance with Laughton and Lorenz. And it's happened multiple times now where he's able to get the puck to Laughton and something happens. And I don't know why we're not doing that more. We could have Quillen potentially play up with Tavares and Michelli. I don't know how good that would work. But, I mean, Knies would look good on the fourth line.
Yeah, but I don't think he's been playing poorly right now. He's just not playing to the standard that we've come to expect of Matthew Knies. I think when William Nylander comes back, bumping him to a different line is not a problem with me. I think it gives you depth. I think that Matias Michelli is deserving of a top 6 spot right now, so I'm not going to take that away from him. And I'm not trying to say Matthew Knies isn't deserving of a top 6 spot, but I don't think that Michelli fits in the bottom 6 the same way Knies does. I think if you put him with a Scott Laughton, then you could kind of have a Bash Brothers thing going on there if you want to approach it that way and try to be creative in your combinations and line things out 1 through 3 and then just kind of or 1 through 4. McMahon is deserving of that first line role. Matthews is carrying that line here pretty well right now. I'm not going to say throw him to the 4th, but moving things around I don't think is an issue. Just right now until William Nylander comes back, I'm not taking him out of the top 6.
Yeah, sorry, I think I explained that wrong a bit. I mean, my opinion is just with him being already injured, I think you need to do some load management. That's all I was saying.
Okay, yeah, I think that's fair. I think though that would include bringing Jacob Quillen into this lineup and removing Calle Yarncroke or shaking things up here a little bit in terms of how you want to put this lineup together. Can Jacob Quillen be your 4C and Scott Laughton move up and be your 2 second line right winger, and then Knies moves down to a different role, and then you play guys differently? Okay, sure, we can have that. I'm fine with that. I think that makes sense, but you can't just shake things up with the guys playing right now, because I don't want Calle Yarncroke near my top 6. And then if Scott Laughton goes up into the top 6, who plays in your 4th line center position? And then the other thing would then be if you want to move up one of the guys who are on the 3rd line right now, Cowan or Robertson, okay, great, but can they fit into that role? Are you breaking something up that you've had that's been good? I know they're in a little bit of a skid right now, but I don't want to panic on them being in a skid. So I do understand what you're saying. I think you have to be willing to bring in some guys here like a Jacob Quillen, which Berube seems very hesitant to do, to make some things work, especially considering positionally. And then, I'm sorry, dude, Calle Yarncroke does nothing. He's out there for a skate every night. And it's not because he's not trying. He's trying. He accomplishes nothing.
Yeah, he does not do much. And you are right. It is a tough way to fit that puzzle around. But if we had brought up more guys, I think when we were doing poorly, we'd be able to trust them more to bring them up. And now I think we're at a point in the season where if you bring a guy up but he doesn't perform well, you are kind of screwed.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't really have much else to say. I'll let you get to these other callers. There's a few. So it was good talking to you, Zach, and I'll catch you on the flip.
All right, Scott. Thank you. Appreciate the call tonight. Look forward to hearing from you again soon. Oh, he's gone. Just like that. Scott, gone. Yes, as Scott said, we do have more callers here tonight that are loaded in. So I want to hear from everybody here tonight on the post-game show. Let me know if you want to call in there. Send in your super chats. Proceeds from your super chats do go to Sick Kids Charity. Continue to like the stream. Almost at 200 likes here now. So keep getting those numbers up. Before we do, best bet. Our best bet segment is a presentation of Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use promo code NATION. That would be NATION. Promo code NATION. NATION. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit connectsontario.ca. A lot of people in the chat liked that one. Flip side. Catch you on the flip side, Scots. I liked it. I appreciated that. Different than what everyone else is bringing. Almost 600 people here on the post-game show watching right now. Keep hitting that like button. Subscribe here. Leafs Nation 401 right here on YouTube. We got more callers to get to. We got more comments to read. We got more super chats to get to. We got more smelling salts to do. So thanks to everybody who just jumped in. If you're new right now, the more likes, the more smelling salts we do. And we're going to get to callers here in 1 second. But our best bet of the night was Auston Matthews over 3.5 shots on goal. I thought he played really well, but unfortunately he finishes with 3. So we finish just shy there, and that puts us in a hole yet again. This betting year has been a mirror image of the Maple Leafs season. I mean, okay, a little bit of a slow start, a little bit of a rocky road for the Maple Leafs. Game 16, we were back and forth on the bets, back and forth in the standings in terms of where we were positioned. And we were just hovering above the 0 mark on our best bets. Now the season progresses. I'm looking at my map out here. Game 17 through game 30. The San Jose Sharks, we lost every single bet. Then we went into Edmonton, into the Dallas stretch. We saw some bad hockey. We saw some more losses. At that point, I think we went down 7.9 units. Dallas game happens. We bet Dallas minus 1.5. It cashes. That was a game that everybody kind of walked away from. Was like, it actually wasn't that bad. They just gave up in the third. We won, and then they go on a heater. December 23rd, Pittsburgh Penguins. We string together some wins all the way through until the game against the Vegas Golden Knights, where we get the William Nylander anytime goal. He gets hurt. This thing falls off a cliff. We are back in the negative, down 1.5 units here on the season. It's been a tough go. Tough go of the best bets. No easy way around it. So keep liking, subscribing, and I guess be cautious of the best bets this year. Next caller here on the line. As Scott said, we got more to get to. Let's hear from Jamie Richardson. Over to you, Jamie.
Hey, yeah, I think it's a game they should have been up a little bit more for at the start, as everybody's saying. But when Stolarz got hit and knocked down, I didn't see a lot of a reaction. And I don't.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay, go ahead. Finish your point. Sorry.
I don't like that. I mean, you got to do something there. Somebody has to. I don't know who, but you know.
So I'm gonna disagree because 99% of the time, yes, someone has to do something. That situation, you worked your bags off to get a penalty called all night. And if people remember that shift, they had the puck hit a guy, or the puck go towards the bench, and a player comes on the ice for Vegas, was the 6th man on the ice, and plays the puck. Everyone on the ice thought that was a penalty. Doesn't get called. Vegas goes on an odd man rush the other way. Nothing comes of it. Puck goes into the neutral zone. As they regroup, there's an interference at the blue line. It's not intentional, but a guy on Vegas runs into a Leafs defender, takes him out of play, and Vegas goes in on another break yet again. Should have been interference. Then that play is closed out, and that shift is closed out with Hurdle running through Stolarz, and you go to the power play. They knew immediately it was a penalty being called. Everyone knew it was a penalty being called. There was 7 minutes left in the game, Jamie. They were down by 1 goal. You cannot, under any circumstances, throw that power play away. I know that ultimately the power play didn't score and it just burns 2 minutes off the clock and it's a huge bummer, but you needed to at least give yourself the chance. You needed to get your opportunity on the odd man and get the power play. It was a smart decision in that moment to not go in there and draw any type of penalty that could have evened things out or put the Leafs in at a disadvantage there coming out of that one. Like, that to me is one moment you can't do that. Like, you cannot jump in there and try to do something. That was a right, no response situation, to be honest with you, in my opinion.
Well, they've had a lot of those in the last 10 years. It seems like. I mean, if you remember the Darcy Tucker, Wendell Clark days, that wouldn't have gone far. But yeah, I know, I get it. I mean, it's just, but I don't see this team being as physical, like as far as the body checks are. Maybe the game's changing, but yeah.
No, you're right. Like, they just weren't physical at all in this game, or at least to what we thought they would be. They played really physical over that stretch from December 23rd until the Colorado game, and from that point on, the physicality has dipped off. They've at least, which I can still give them the credit for, played with pace and played with tempo, and they've had that for the most part, but they have lacked the physicality. Like, they are not playing as this hard-nosed team like they did over that stretch, and then when you separate the two and you only try to play with one or you only try to play with the other, you are nowhere near as effective as a group anymore. Like, you can't look at these guys and think they're that dangerous if they're not going to marry the physical game with the speed game, because you want to just outspeed teams. You don't have that ability anymore. You don't have the up and down the lineup, Ilya Mikheyev and Alex Kerfoot and Pierre Engvall and those kinds of guys to be playing on your thirds and fourth lines that can go toe-to-toe speed-wise with every team. You are intentionally designed to be bigger, heavier, and slower. I don't love how heavy and slow they had quite gotten, but I think that as long as you adapt to it and you play the right way, with marrying the physicality into it, you can be in a good spot as a group. They just decided to abandon the physicality over like the last week and a half, and now all of a sudden they're losing games again.
Yeah. And it does fit in because, they're good on the face-offs. You start with the puck. And if you hit good, there's a lot of turnovers are going to happen from hits because, their defensemen are going to pass the puck faster because they know you're coming at them, and you get the puck even more. And that's a big part of the game. And it's
100%. 100%.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think a lot's changed. We were promised a DNA change. I don't think it's happened yet, or a lot hasn't happened yet. And I think right now, you figure that Stolarz, maybe get some younger guys or some picked from him, find out if McMahon or Lawton are going to sign. If they aren't, then you look at that and just, retool a little bit now and then a little more in the summer, because I'm not sure about the free agents that are going to be available in the off season.
Yeah, it's not quite what you need, what you were expecting, I should say, or what you need if you're going to like turn things around immediately in the summer by just picking up a free agent. It's not. The free agent market really dipped off. Jack Eichel extends, Connor McDavid extends. You also get an extension from Kaprizov. So yeah, there's a bunch of different extensions that take place that you thought, hey, maybe that's a guy that we could get. So that's disappointing. To see those guys go off the board, know that summer was going to be there, and maybe you were hoping to use some of that money on it. But I do think that you need to see where you're at the break. It can be a positive, it can be a negative. I'm not really sure how to interpret it right now. Maybe I'm looking on the optimistic side of things, but like this stretch, it's going to be hard, but like, let's say the positive side. Let's say you rattle off 6 wins or 5-1 or 5-1 or 4-1-1. You could be in a playoff spot, especially if one of those is a win against the Sabres in regulation. I know that they're ahead of you now, and they're ahead of you by a decent little chunk here because of how you've played over the last bit. But if you can pick up some points and you can get a 4-point swing against Buffalo, you're in a better spot. You got 2 games coming up against the Sabres to close out this year. You got 1 game against the Bruins to close out this year, and those are 2 teams you're chasing down. But you need to see where you're at by the time you get yourself to the Olympic break, and then kind of have some conversations. Sit down with Scott Laughton and his agent. Are you going to re-sign here? Do you want to be here? If he does want to be here, I think that's a guy that you make that deal happen. You know, David Alter says, and we talk about culture change. I think Scott Laughton's a key piece to what a culture change would look like, and a guy who needs to have a voice in the room. He comes out after the game. David Alter says, Scott Laughton is not happy with the lack of urgency in Toronto's game, among other things. Quote, it's simplicity too. I mean, your D are tired. You don't need to come back with the puck and make it harder. You chip pucks in, you fill lanes, and make it easy on your D, and you make it hard. That's how you win at this time of year, and that's how you win in the playoffs. That is a guy who understands what it takes to win when games get tight, who knows what it's like to play in playoff style games, at least. Like, I'm not saying that because he has the most experience ever, but like, that's a guy whose energy, whose mindset, whose character thrives in a playoff situation. So having him back here, I think, is pretty key. I think having him around the group, especially if you're going to go through a retool, is pretty important. I would love to have him back, but if he doesn't want to re-sign, yes, you look at trading the guy and you look at what you can get back for assets. If Bobby McMahon wants some big haul on his next deal, maybe you look at moving on from him. I think he wants to be here, and I think he would be interested in signing some type of deal that would be beneficial to both parties, where he gets paid and the Leafs don't get killed by his cap. But okay, I think you have to address that and see what he wants, and then if he doesn't want to be here, or it's going to be a hard negotiation, then maybe you look to move on from the guy and get some assets back. And then you start to look at other pieces if you're in a bad spot. Where is Ekman Larsson at? Where is Brandon Carlo at? Where is Jake McCabe at? Because some of these guys are older. They've never won. Ekman Larsson obviously has, so maybe you want to keep him around. I don't really know. But if he's going to get a huge price in the open market or on the trade market, that's when you start to look to move from these guys. Like, that's when you explore those possibilities. And I know some of them have term left, which is beneficial to you because you could keep them around for a little bit and they don't just walk at the end of the season necessarily, but it's also a trade chip where you say, hey, we'll trade this guy to you and you get 1 extra year out of him beyond this one, or 2 extra years out of this guy beyond this one. So that can bring you an extra haul back and help you start a retool faster. It doesn't have to be a rebuild. It doesn't have to be tear it to the ground. You still got 2 more years of Auston Matthews on his contract. You still got a bunch more years of William Nylander. Your 2 best players are locked up for a little bit. Little, key word, little, but little bit. You can try to figure things out around them. It just has to be done here and it has to be decided upon by the time you get to the Olympics, in my opinion. Because coming out, asking questions, it's going to make things a whole lot sketchier going into the deadline.
Yeah, because I think you cannot make a trade during the Olympic break. I'm sure they can talk about it. I'm sure they can have deals between GMs. But after the Olympic break, I think it's 12 days until the deadline or something like that. It's not a lot.
Yeah, I think you come back Feb 25th from this. I think that's the first game back, and then I think the deadline would be the 7th. So yeah, like around 12, 13 days, whatever.
Something like that. So they got to be figuring this out, and I think Stolarz can get you something. I think you can.
Yeah, I again, I don't know that you go and shop Stolarz actively, but if you take calls on it, then yes, why not take looks? Why not see what's out there? Yeah. Jamie, anything else for me here tonight?
No, I just think they just have to have a mentality of for the right price, everything is available. I mean, I know.
It's fair. It's just a tough spot to be in right now, Jamie. Tough spot, especially with this group expecting to contend and being just on the outside. I think part of them probably looks at it and thinks, hey, we can get back there. We can figure it out. All right. Thanks, Jamie. I appreciate the call tonight. Got more people to get to, so enjoy the rest of your night, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Thanks, Jamie. There you go. Let's get to our next caller. Just a reminder to people, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, Leafs Nation 401 right here on YouTube. You can also catch this on podcast platforms wherever you get your podcasts. Every single Leafs game, we are live here doing a post-game show, talking to fans, taking calls, getting people in the chat, seeing the super chats, hearing what Leafs fans have to say about every game, night in and night out. But you can listen on podcasts. Next morning, it's out there, so make sure to check that out. Let's go to our next caller, Ali on the line. Ali, do we got you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Zach. Thank you for being on so late after the game and taking calls. We always appreciate that.
Always, Ali. We're always here. This season more than ever. I think the last couple, maybe it was just because we didn't take his calls as frequently, but we or it was more difficult, I guess, to take calls. But this year we're running 2-3 hour post games every game, Ali. So I'm always here.
Perfect. There's two really quick points. The first was a lot, and you need players like that kind of drag you into the fight, especially in emotional games like tonight. The Leafs were kind of emotionless. As I find it weird, Alon got less than 10 minutes of ice time. It's not like he hasn't been scoring goals. He hasn't been contributing. What does he have to do to get Berube to play him a bit more? Especially since he's a UFA. Would you stay around if you were him getting less than 10 minutes fighting for ice time? It makes it a little tricky just to keep him, even if you want. And what's the point in giving him a big contract if your coach is only going to pay him less than 10 minutes a game? Just wanted your thoughts about that.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very good point. The combination of coach and player and the relationship they have, I'm not saying they have a bad relationship, but it might be a deterrent for Lawton being like, am I going to be here and be stuck as fourth line guy who plays 9 minutes a night? Is that my role going forward? By the end of his next contract, however long he signs, if he does sign an extension, maybe that's what it turns out to be, and he understands that. But right now, he's playing above being a fourth line guy. That's just, I watched the intensity he plays with. I watch the attention to detail. I watch him win battles. I watch his defensive side of the game. You're now seeing him contribute offensively more, and yet he still can't find more minutes in the lineup and in games. The most minutes he plays come on nights where he's playing the PK, and if Berube's entire position is, well, I need to keep him fresh for the PK, you're not on the PK for 6 minutes a night every single night, or at least you hope not to be. So that should not be the plan. I think that you're right. You're onto something there where he might not love the usage that he's getting. And to be honest with you, as a fan and somebody who commentates on it every single game, I'm not either. I see people in the chat, just by the way, before I throw it back to you, saying, oh, he's a fourth liner and fourth liners play 10 minutes. Okay, that's fine. Sure. Yeah, he's fourth line. If that's where they see him, that's where they see him. But it's games like this that I don't understand the lack of recognition. The third line was not playing very well. Cowan, Robertson, and Waugh were not having a good night. Why can't you find ways to get Lawton more involved so that you can at bare minimum get 3 lines playing tonight and have 3 lines of attack? Because you know what happened tonight? Vegas's bottom 6 played really, really well against your lineup. They played really well tonight. Part of that was because the third line was going out there and struggling. So maybe you take your fourth line and you make it Robertson and Cowan, or you make it I don't even know what the combination would be, but you move Lawton up and plays with Waugh, and he can get Waugh going, and Lawton gets 2-3 more minutes, and the third line takes some minutes away, and you get Waugh more involved in this. Like, it's just the usage in game just makes no sense to me, and I don't understand how he can't get more involved in this lineup and in these games. And Jay Castro points out, I would flip Waugh with Lawton. No problem. I mean, I don't mind that. I think that third line develops chemistry, but on a game-to-game basis, you can move things around. Okay, Waugh's line's not going. Maybe try Lawton with them. And you want to play them more, but play them with Lawton. Okay, now you want Waugh on that line because Cowan you can't trust. Move Cowan to the fourth line, move Lawton to the left wing, put Waugh at the center. There's a lot of things you can do to get creative, and they just choose not to, whether it's because they're scared or they don't like guys or what. They just refuse to do it, and you end up losing games like this where we all look at it and say, how did that guy not play that much?
Yeah, it's a great point. And it's one last thing I want to talk to you and get to your other callers. It's just taking a look at the long term, this Leafs blue line, and it's needing of some retool. Let's quickly look at the rest of the teams in the Atlantic. I don't think there's a weaker blue line in the Atlantic than what we have right now. And that doesn't bode well. Like, when we're looking long term and potentially competing for a cup or even making the playoffs, we need some horses back there on the blue line, and I'm not quite sure how Leafs are going to get any of those. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't know that they get any this year, especially. If Dougie Hamilton is a super buy low spot and you don't have to give up much assets, okay, maybe that's the move that you make. He is very expensive, and I think that it's pretty redundant having him and Morgan Riley, so I think you ultimately have to move off of one of those pieces. The other problem you end up having is right-handed shots. You will end up with him, Carlo, Stetcher. You'll have Myers here as well, which I'm not trying to say Myers should be playing, but you end up with him in the lineup too. So you now need to move off of pieces and you need to clear spots out. I think the thing people should understand with Dougie Hamilton before anybody gets so horny about it is he's not a physical guy. He's a big guy who doesn't play physical, which is like what the Leafs fans in this market hate more than anything. So people should be weary of that before anything gets made, but before any deals get made. But like, your power play is killing you right now, Ali. Your power play is killing you. You score on that power play tonight, and you don't need to have 100% success rate on a season, but like, they've failed in some big moments. I look back at it. How many times in the first 30 games, that first stretch, could they have at least gotten one more point by going to overtime and scoring on a power play late, or having 6 power plays in a game and going 1 for 6 or 0 for 6 or whatever, where it's like, if you get one more power play goal, you get 2 more power play goals, you could be tying games, you could be picking up overtime points, you could be winning games, and you're just not. This one against Vegas is a prime example. You have a power play down 4-3 with 7 minutes left in the game, and you could barely generate anything dangerous. You moved the puck pretty well once you got into the zone, but that was pretty much it. It died after puck movement. There was not really any dangerous opportunities outside of that. That's just not good enough. You could have tied that thing up if your power play succeeds tonight. Credit to Vegas's penalty kill, sure, but I mean, at some point, you got to look at the power play and be like, you're supposed to be succeeding at a much higher clip than what you are right now, and they just aren't. So maybe like a guy like Dougie Hamilton is the guy to do it. Otherwise, Ali, I think you've got to look to the summer and then try to figure out a way to retool and reshape what your defensive core looks like, because the guys you have now, I think, serve certain roles, and I don't think are bad pieces to have. Some of them specifically, McCabe, OEL. I don't think Carlo's a bad piece. I know people don't love him here, but you could pick up, or if you get some piece that can change your offensive outlook from the back end, you could be picking up more points and wins along the way, and they just aren't right now.
Yeah, there's one last thought. I don't want to dump on Riley because I try to be, I love the guy. He's a good person. But even in the Detroit game, if you look at the power play opportunities he had, when we're in the zone, we're with the puck, the Detroit penalty killers just collapsed and played basically 4-on-4, left Riley wide open at the point with the puck because they know that the shot wasn't coming, or if it does go through, it's going to be a muffin.
Yeah.
So we don't have that threat of a shot on top of that power play. It kind of defeats the man advantage because the defense can always just collapse down low and just play 4-on-4.
Yeah, it's a good point. I don't know how many people are NBA fans, but I equate it to like the big man who can't shoot the three, and when he gets the ball at the top of the paint or at the top of the three-pointer, you watch every NBA defense. They basically turn their backs and get ready to pick up a rebound because if he's shooting, it's not going in. That's basically what happens with Morgan Riley. Every guy on the defense is kind of like, oh, shoot it. What are you going to do? Like, go ahead, man. You don't shoot it anyways, and when you do, it's not dangerous. So go ahead, shoot it, and then they don't have to play him honestly. So they can play tighter to Auston Matthews. They can play tighter to William Nylander when he's there. They know Matias Maccelli's a passer, not a shooter, so they don't have to worry about that as much. You can take away more of your inside lanes to Nyes. You can take away the guys like John Tavares in the middle a little bit more. It just nullifies a lot of your threats. And you watch Matthews, who's been playing really, really well right now. He's just not getting the time and space on a power play that he should be getting if other guys out there are a threat. Some of that's because Nylander's not here, but I think a big part of it is because Morgan Riley just can't provide that offense and that threat from the point. I like, prime example for people to realize is Alex Ovechkin has stood in the same spot his entire career, like 20 years or whatever he's been in the NHL. He has stood in the exact same spot. You know where he's going to be, when he's going to be there, and you know he's not moving. He stands still. And yet they've had defensemen who can provide a threat from the point and move the puck quickly without telegraphing passes, and it makes him dangerous because now all of a sudden you actually have to play the defenseman honestly, not give him a free lane to the net, not give him a free shot on your goaltender, and so Alex Ovechkin becomes open again. You're not getting that right now out of your most dangerous scorer because the guy who plays 20 feet to the left of him or to the right of him, however you want to look at it, he can't provide any offense from back there. So you're in a bad spot, and it's kind of killing the power play. I agree with you, Ali.
All right, thank you so much for your time tonight, Zach. Have a great night.
Thanks, Ali. You too. Appreciate the call. There you go. Ali on the line. We got two more callers to get to here on the postgame. 2 hours and 20 minutes in to this postgame breakdown. Game number 51 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season. Marner return game, and the Leafs dropped this one 6-3 in a really, really, really frustrating one here tonight at home. More calls, more chats to get to as well. We have another set of smelling salts. We hit 200 likes here on the post game, so keep liking, get this up, get those numbers up. Let's see if we can get ourselves to 250 by the end of the show. There's over 400 people, so it should be easy enough to do if everybody watching right now just clicks that like button before you leave, before you go to bed, or if you've just joined, hit the like button. And we'll see if we can get to 250, maybe even 300 by the time the show ends. But here are the smelling salts. Oh. All right. There's the smelling salts for 200. Let's get ourselves to 250. Reminder, send in those super chats. Proceeds from our super chats go to Sick Kids Charity. And we've got a couple more super chats just before we get to the next caller. This one comes in from Kilo fucking James. Kilo, you goddamn scumbag. Sends love to the morning show. Sends hate to you from NYC, bro. Kilo, you dickhead. One day I hope to meet you in person, look you in the eyes, shake your hand, and tell you you're a scumbag. But thanks for the super chat. Brandon McMillan with the super chat. Flyers, Devils, and Caps all picking up points tonight. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, it's not just about the teams ahead of you right now in Buffalo and Boston who pick up points every night. Teams behind you are going to pick up points here too. And the more you drop, the more games you lose, and the more points you just flounder, the more chance everyone else around you has to catch up and surpass you. Which I guess maybe not a bad thing if you're going to try to trade off assets and you're going to try to dump this one out and maybe finish in the bottom of the league for McKenna or something. But Keaton Fairhoff, I don't know. What is that? Zach, add. What is that? I don't know. Zach reminds me of Jinxie with all these troll donations. It's just this one scumbag, Kilo James. Goddamn Kilo. Okay, let's go to the next caller here. Been waiting for a while. Looking forward to hearing what he's got to say about this Marner return game in Toronto tonight. Let's welcome to the program Nick C. Nick, do we got you on the line there? Nick. Do we have you, Nick? Did Nick leave? Oh no. I'm worried about Nick. A moment like this, when I go to the caller and the caller has disappeared, reminds me of Mitch Hedberg. If anybody remembers the bit that he did, where he says he goes into the restaurant and they call out for the table, and the people in the restaurant, and then nobody answers. They can't find the people for the table. And then he's like, they go to the next table and they start announcing them, the Dufresnes. Where are the Dufresnes? Where is Nick? We have another caller coming up after, but I can't get to Scott from Bracebridge because we can't find Nick. I'll give Nick a moment and see if Nick wants to jump on, but if Nick is not going to make it here, in the meantime, I'm going to get to our next segment on the program. Our next segment is Crave the Stats. Crave the Stats is a presentation of Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app, from game day eats to paper plates and napkins if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip. Every time the Leafs are playing at home, you can get these exclusive deals in Toronto only on Uber Eats. The Firehouse Subs, the BOGO Brisket Hat Trick, Kibo Sushi, the BOGO California Roll, Shelby Shawarma, the BOGO Traditional Wrap. BOGO, of course, is buy one, get one. Before, during, and after the game, Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. Crave the Stats. Let's get to our box scores here and just run this down quickly for people. The most frustrating ones for me, Anthony Stolarz, .833 save percentage. He gives up 5 goals on 30 shots. I don't think he had a very good night. Morgan Riley has 1 assist, but he finishes -1 in this one. He does play 21 minutes. Ekman Larson plays 24. A guy who was questionable to play in this one plays 24. I thought he looked good. He finishes even on the night. 2 shots on goal, 24 minutes, 32 shifts. He played 59 seconds of power play time. Jake McCabe, -2. Riley, -1. Stetcher, -1. Benoit, -1. So there's all your minuses on the defensive side. There we go. Did I got Nick on the line?
Yeah, it's me.
All right, Nick, 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let me rattle off the box scores here before I get to you, all right? I was waiting. I was searching for you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All good, all good. Give me 1 second. Let me run through these, and then we'll get to you. All right, Nick?
Sounds good.
All right. Also here tonight, Auston Matthews finishes -1, 3 shots on goal. Bobby McMahon, -1, 4 shots on goal for him. He played 6 less minutes than Auston Matthews, but I thought he looked really good. Max Domi, 1848, -2 tonight. 1 assist for Domi. Nyes, 2 assists. I thought he played really well tonight, honestly. We talked about him being injured and clearly battling through something. I thought he had a pretty decent game in this one. And then, just outside of that, it's look at the team stats here. Power play is the killer. You go 0 for 1. You went 1 for 1 on your penalty kill. Good for them. That was a big kill that stops that thing from going 3-0, I think it was, early in the first period. That was an opportunity for Vegas to really open that thing up and just shut it down in the first 20, and the penalty kill came through clutch with Scott Lawton in the box, of all people, who's a guy that you probably want out there for like 90% of your penalty kill, but kill that one off regardless. Vegas tonight blocks 15 shots. The Leafs only block 8. The Leafs had 15 giveaways. Vegas actually had 18, which is a little bit surprising. I thought the Leafs probably turned the puck over a lot more in this one. Face-offs, Leafs dominate the dot again. Yet, like all season long, just every time I do the box score, it's like face-offs won, face-offs won, face-offs won, and yet again, face-offs won. But ultimately, the Leafs lose. And you want to talk about physicality here, too. I thought Vegas was the team with the puck for more of the game, basically until halfway through. They finished with 31 hits. The Leafs had 20 hits, sorry. The Vegas finishes with 11. The Leafs finished with 21. Good on the Leafs for playing physical. I just thought it would be a whole lot more than that. All right. He jumped in there. I was waiting for him, but let's get to Nick C on the line. Nick, what's up, man?
Not too great. Not too great. Not too happy with a loss, especially when they had to. I was expecting them to be thirsty, to be hungrier, to beat the Vegas Golden Knights, but they play flat.
Yeah, they did. No, it's true. Like losing the game is one thing; it would have sucked anyways. But to see them come back and make it 4-3 makes it so much more infuriating. Watching that, knowing you could have just showed up from the beginning and put yourself in a much better spot to win this game. Coming out flat, playing flat for 30 minutes, you're never going to be deserving of a win if you put forth that type of effort through the first 30 minutes of gameplay. Nick? Any thoughts, Nick?
What's going on? Sorry.
Is somebody else talking? If somebody's in the background talking right now, just mute your mic. If you're waiting to call in, mute your mic, please and thank you while you're waiting. Mute your mics while you're waiting. Sorry, Nick. I can't hear anybody else. I can only hear the person who's calling in one at a time. So I apologize for that, but back to you. Hopefully somebody else has stopped talking. No?
Yes.
Maybe you can mute them so you don't hear them. Maybe that's something you can do.
Yeah, wait, I'll try to. No.
Who's talking? Mute your mic if you're talking and you're waiting right now. Sorry, Nick. All right. Any way you can battle through this or figure out how to mute the person?
To mute them.
I don't know if you just click on them or something and mute them. I'm not entirely sure. I have no ability to change this myself. It's pretty much up to you and them to mute themselves. So apologize. I think it's Scott or Steve, but I'll give you another shot here, Nick. If anything else, unless you can just battle through this while they talk.
Steve, can you mute your?
There, Steve, mute. Steve, mute yourself.
Mute.
Steve, damn it, Steve, mute.
Steve, mute your.
Yeah, mute your shit. Come on, Steve.
Mic.
All right. Mute your mic, Steve. All right, Nick, go ahead. Nick, I got to get you to battle through here.
It starts in the management. I'm done with hearing the player's fault. I hate blaming the player. It's
Steve,
not them.
Steve,
They've been playing. Playing well. We don't have Willie. We got injuries. Sure.
Steve, you gotta mute your mic. I got Nick on the line, not you.
And
all right. I can't kick him. I don't know what to do here.
I don't know what to do either.
All right, hold on. I don't know how to battle through this one. I'm not gonna lie to you. Steve's just losing his shit right now. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe if I quit, if I try to come back to call.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Okay. Maybe give that a try, Nick. Maybe give that a try. All right, we'll see if we can get Nick sorted out. Hold on. Let me see. Let's see if we can get Steve on.
Go, boy. Come on.
Steve, do we got you?
Yo, it's Steve. What's good?
What's up, Steve? All right, I'm going to get you in here so that we can get you out because everyone else was waiting for you because everyone else could hear you. Give me your thoughts on tonight.
I love that everyone else is respectful, but my battery's low, so let me just speak my piece, all right?
Okay, go, and then we'll get you out.
Well, I just fucking said it. Did you hear me?
No, nobody heard it.
Oh, can I talk now, boys?
Go.
All right, great. All right. What the fuck are we starting Stolarz for in a game like this? This is a game that sets the fucking tone, right? Mitch returned to Toronto. First of all, fuck his little tribute. He doesn't deserve a fucking tribute. You don't want to play in Toronto? I'd love to fucking play in Toronto if it panned out. I'm not good enough, but whatever. But I'm just saying, in a game like this, when it comes down to it, you don't start Stolarz. He's been on IR for how long? I don't even know. Couple months, right? Couple months. You don't start him. Wall's been good. Hildeby's been he's been playing his fucking part. Come on. You don't start him in a game like this. You got to set the fucking tone in a game like this.
100% agree with you, Steve. There's nothing I could say to poo-poo that, to disagree.
And you're blaming the players. I disagree. The players are playing their fucking part. I don't know what else you expect from them. They're playing their fucking part, all right? They've dialed into the Berube hockey style, and they're playing the system, all right? They're playing the fucking system, and I love it. It comes from
okay. But Steve, they also showed up slow tonight. They showed up late tonight. I agree with you
for sure,
on the
but
Berube
that's Toronto hockey. We always start out slow.
Okay,
it's nothing new.
But don't you want that to change?
Buddy, it's not going to fucking change. It's been 10 years of us starting slow. We're a third period team. We always fucking will be, apparently. It's not going to change. I don't want to hear blame on the players because that's where that shit happens. The media gets to them, all that. But, yeah, like guys like Ryan O'Reilly hate playing in Toronto because of the fucking media and all that. It's because of this bullshit. You don't blame the players. The players want to play in Toronto. I'm sick of blaming the players. It comes from Upper. It comes from, and we got rid of Shanahan. That's going to do something. No, fuck that. You blaming the fans? You blaming the fucking fans?
I'm not blaming the fans.
Are you an idiot? No, sorry. Are you blaming the fucking fans? Are you kidding me?
I'm not blaming the fans. I'm not blaming the fans.
Who said I blame the fans? Who? I'm not blaming anybody. It's the hardest trophy in sports to win. You're blaming someone? I'm not putting the blame game on anybody. Look, it'll come. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just suggesting what I think. You're a fucking idiot. Oh, it's the fans. Yeah, just shut your fucking mouth and take your turn, all right?
Who? Me? Who are you talking to?
Whoever said the fans. I don't know who said the fans.
Oh, if you're in the back, mute yourself and while you're waiting. So I thought you were talking to me, Steve.
To say the fans? Are you kidding me?
I'm like, what the hell? What did I say?
Oh, God forbid we have a passionate fan base. Oh my God, the fans.
I'm with you.
Idiot. Fucking
I'm
idiot.
with you. Yeah, I'm with you.
I don't want to hear these boys blame the fucking fans. You know what? I bet it was the fucking old guy before me that I interrupt. Do not name drop me, dude. All right, now I want to hear your thoughts on what I just said.
Okay, I agree with you on the Berube thing, putting them in the position and Stolarz in this position. Entirely wrong decision. This should have been Hildeby's net tonight. This should have been Wall's net tonight. I don't give a fuck. It's got to be one of the two. Wall played an amazing game on Wednesday. Okay, you don't want to wear him out. No problem. Dennis Hildeby's been playing really well. The other piece of this is, why doesn't Anthony Stolarz play in the AHL and get some games under his belt? Why doesn't he get an opportunity to do that?
You don't throw him right into a game against fucking Vegas.
Yeah, I agree. But Steve, where I'm gonna push back on you, and like I understand what you're saying, but where I push back is they didn't play well enough for 30 minutes to open this game. So okay, 100%. Yeah, you're a third period team. I understand what you're saying.
Hey,
but you got to be better to open this up. You got to be better. Okay, we're a third period team. You got to be better to open this thing up regardless. Because getting down 1-0, 1 minute and 6 seconds into this game. That's a bad way to start this one when the crowd is that ramped up. They're this fired up to go here in this game, and you go down 1-0 that early on. Part of it is the decision to go to Stolarz. I thought he was shaky. I don't think he looked very good early on. And then the team in front of him gave up a ton of opportunities. Okay. They needed to be better. That's what I'm saying.
You say he looks shaky, but then you say, like, yeah, you put him in a game against the AHL. I don't agree with that. because you know what? Stolarz not an AHL goalie, whatever. For sure, you could put him.
No,
in
but
the
it's
game in the
it's a
AHL,
conditioning
whatever.
low. You can get conditioning and get game experience.
It's not a conditioning look. You can put him in a practice. He'll be fine. He's an NHL goalie. He's fine. Look, you just don't play him in a game against. You don't start him against fucking Vegas after this many months. You start him against a team like fucking, I don't know, San Jose. Who cares? Every win matters now. We got 30 games left of the season. Come on. We're taking every divisional battle to overtime. I'm done with this fucking overtime bullshit. We need to win fucking games. We need to start playing playoff hockey. We're not playing playoff hockey. And it starts with management. I'm not blaming the players. Everyone else blaming the players. It starts with the management. It's these little things like this where you don't start fucking Stolarz against a team like Vegas. Every point matters. Every point matters.
Okay, so what would you do then here? The Stolarz thing aside, that's the one, and I agree with you. What else? What else do you do? What else do you change? What else needs to happen in your opinion?
Dude, he's look.
Outside of Stolarz.
He's a great coach, and I love him, right? I love him. And the boys have finally bought into his style of hockey. They finally bought in. We're getting more shots on net. We're playing his style of hockey, which I fucking love. Which is the hockey that we were fucking waiting for. But come on, it starts with these. And I don't mean to repeat myself, but it honestly is the little things like this. It's the little things like this. Come on, this was a game. This is a game that we got to go into that sets the fucking tone. It's the same as the Colorado game. It sets the fucking tone. Look how buzzing we were after that Colorado game. Come on, right? Yep. You don't. We need to start playing playoff hockey, and I understand the thing where you want to save them and all that stuff, and you don't want the boys hurt and all that. Whatever. But when the Atlantic Division's this close, come on, you got to start playing playoff hockey. You need to start dying in a little bit.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you, Steve. I'm 100% with you. That's why it's frustrating right now, and I think a lot of people calling in are like, it's time to kind of maybe look at changing the direction of the rest of this season, because
the direction of change is, what the fuck is Morgan Riley still on our roster for? Remember the Jake Gardner days?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm seeing when I look at fucking Morgan Riley right now. So
that's
how long
fair.
is it going to take before we get rid of come on. And even Carlos playing like fucking shit.
He's had a couple tough games here. I would say since returning from
he hasn't done a fucking thing.
Since returning from injury, I think he's been a lot better. He was bad early in the
season. You know how
bad
it is that the fact that OEL is our best defenseman. Look how old is he? How fucking old is he?
Yeah, I know.
And put him on any other roster. I don't know if he's putting up the same numbers. You know why he's putting up the same numbers? Because we fucking suck, and he's our number one defenseman. It's terrible. It's honestly pathetic that he's our number one defenseman.
I agree, and I think that's no disrespect to OEL. He's playing great, but he shouldn't be the number one. There should be guys ahead of him. Well, I'm with you, Steve. What else? Keep going. What else you got here?
Fuck this shit. Honestly, and you know what? I love that our power play got better after we fired Savard. I love it. And I don't know what about that it was. I have no idea. Something changed, whatever. We won't know. But it should have been Berube that fucking went. Because look at our roster. Our roster doesn't fit his play style. We have to adjust to his play style. Bring another fucking coach in. That should have been the fucking change. And honestly, fucking Trey Living sucks. Fuck him. Dubas was awesome. He made the big moves. Sure, we don't have a fucking future, but he fucking went for it, and I love it. I fucking love it because the core four was there. We gave a top 5 forward. Fuck it. We gave a top 3, 4, arguably, forward or winger in the league up. You don't fucking give a guy like Mitch, sure, he didn't want to re-sign the fans, whatever. I heard that other idiot earlier blame the fans, whatever. But come on, this is ridiculous. We're not and I don't see us winning. We don't even know if we're making the fucking playoffs right now. This is fucking nuts. The whole fucking organization is in shambles. And it all starts with the management. And I'm done with people blaming the players. Look, we adjusted the...
Had enough tonight.
What just happened, Steve?
Sorry, cut out a bit. Bad Wi-Fi. I'm poor. My bad. But no, that's my fucking piece. What do you think?
Look, I'm going to agree with you on the Berube thing. Here's why. Earlier on, a lot of the game management stuff was getting hidden by the fact that the systems weren't being played, the effort wasn't in place, they weren't playing well, they weren't producing offense, they weren't getting goaltending, and they were dealing with injuries. And I think we were just kind of not seeing some of the game management shit. And I think last year they had a differently constructed roster where, like, all throughout the lineup, you had guys that could play different roles. So when Berube would do some of this dumb shit, it would get hidden a little bit. True Living constructed this.
Berube's the fucking problem.
What's the best fast food?
Berube is the fucking problem. Fuck Berube. You know what? I changed mine. Fuck Berube. What was it? I don't like him. I don't like him at all. Like,
oh, I lost Steve. I think Steve's phone died.
Steve
Oh, there we
awesome.
go. He's back.
Steve was awesome. Steve was awesome.
All right, Steve. Any other points you got here, Steve? I've got other people on the call that I want to make sure I get to.
You see, I spoke my mind. You agree, right?
Yeah, I'm glad you spoke your mind.
Look,
there's not really much I disagree with,
one
thing I disagreed with, and I don't really fully disagree, but I do disagree with you saying it's just you saying where you were not happy with me saying the players did not show up to start this game, and that's where I was frustrated.
No, I didn't say the players didn't show up to show. Look, I said the players aren't the problem overall.
Okay.
Look, we have a slow start. It's gonna happen. Every team has a slow start, right? You can't really control that. Shit happens.
Okay.
I'm saying we're used to it. You've seen it. If you're a Leaf fan, you've seen it for the last how many fucking years. We never have a great start, right? Whatever. It's just the way it goes sometimes. But that's not the problem. That is not the fucking problem. Obviously, we need to start on time. That's the biggest thing. That's what the coaches tell their fucking guys in the locker room. Start on time, right? I mean, if you played minor hockey, you heard that from the beginning. You start on time. It's not something you can control. That is not something you can control. That's how the other guys come out. That's how you come out, off night, whatever. Yeah. It's just the way it works sometimes. Yeah. I'm saying the players aren't the problem. We need to stop bitching. We gave up a top 5 winger in the fucking league. I don't know what everyone's expecting. I don't want to hear any slander on the fucking guys, because fuck that. They're not the problem.
All right, Steve. Final point, if you've got any, and then I'm gonna let you go here.
Yeah. Well, I got 2 more like quick things.
Go for it.
My first thing is, I don't know what everyone's saying in the comments because I can't read it. My phone's too fucking small. Like, are people agreeing with me or no?
Yeah, people are fired up about this golf right now.
People fucking love me. There you fucking go, boys. That's the fucking passion we need, baby.
People are loving this call. I'm loving this call.
You know what? Fuck it. I might real name drop myself at this point.
It's up to you, dude.
Can I just put my Instagram in this somehow?
Sure, man. Go for it. You gotta put it in the chat.
I gotta check what the username is. Hold on, I forgot what it is. All right, boys. RICKY Bola, 2 A's. 2 L's, 2 A's. Second thing.
Yep.
Actually, no, I can't say the second thing because I just name dropped myself. Can't say the second thing anymore. But honestly, I'm out of here. I'm getting thirsty. My lips are parched. Have a night, boys. Have a night. A night.
Thanks, Steve. Enjoy it. Make sure you hang up the call to get out of here.
I'm 100% getting out of here now.
Good night. Thank you, Steve. Good night. There you go. Steve, what the fuck? That was an insane call. And then he just says, I can't say what I was going to say. I said my name. All right. Love the passion. All right, more callers. Let's go back to Nick C on the line. Nick, I know you're having some troubles there where people were jumping over you, namely Steve there. What's up?
Yeah, gotta love Steve's passion here.
No kidding. I'm sorry about that. I have no control over muting and unmuting other people other than the person who calls in. All right. So I just, yeah. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, I expected the Leafs to be at least somewhat thirsty or hungry to win this, to take their revenge on Golden Knights, and especially against Marner. And I thought they played really. I would even say that they didn't even showed up at all. Like, it's been really frustrating to watch. On a power play, they had a great opportunity to tie the game. Maybe, who knows? Maybe get 2 points in the standings, and they actually blew the power. They actually produced nothing in the power play. So it's been really frustrating to watch this game.
Yeah, you only had one, and I mean, obviously you don't score on every one. Vegas also had one, and they went 0 for 1 tonight, but the amount of times that this power play could have come through and gotten them points or wins or whatever, and has just left them hanging, has been atrocious. Honestly, it's been atrocious, Nick. Like, they have not been good enough. New power play coach, they got a little bit of a bump, and it's just fallen off a cliff here again. I don't know if part of that is just because William Nylander's not playing or whatever, but the power play has really cooled off over the last week, and it's going to cost you, man. Like, you're looking right now at being missing the playoffs by like a couple of points, barring something significant happening one way or the other. I think that they've got enough talent in the room. They got enough goaltending. They've got enough battle to be able to win games. Maybe not at the clip they need to, but win games and get themselves in the hunt. But, you know, you miss by a couple of points. We're going to look at a game like tonight where you could have tied it up with 7 minutes left and maybe forced an overtime. We're going to look back at the Vegas game in Vegas where they didn't capitalize enough on the power play to maybe expand that lead. Games earlier against Montreal, Detroit, whatever, where they just couldn't close, couldn't get power play points, couldn't get power play goals, and you lose those points, you lose ground in the standings, and it's maybe costing you games and points that you're just ending up falling short on the season. And that it's got to be better. It's got to be better, and it's got to be better right now.
Yeah. And one thing about Stolarz, as you guys pointed out earlier, I thought that Stolarz wasn't quite ready to play as soon as he was released from his injury. I would expected him to be playing a few games with him down there with the Martys, but he came right away in the game against Vegas, and he clearly wasn't ready to. He wasn't good enough. Like, he wasn't helping the team to at least make the game tighter.
Yeah, no. I thought that he should have gotten some experience down at, like, I saw somebody in the chat be like, he's an NHL goalie, not an AHL goalie. Oh, and Steve disagreed with me as well, but there's a thing called conditioning loans. You're allowed to send a goaltender or a player returning from injury to the AHL to play a couple of games to get their legs under them before they come back to the NHL. Like, you don't have to just throw them straight into an NHL game right away. And when a goaltender misses over 2 months of action in the middle of your season, to just throw the guy in there right away, like, respect the compete, respect him wanting to battle, but him not having any game action before going into the game against the Vegas fucking Golden Knights in Mitch Marner's return, that's a shocking decision by the GM, the coaching staff, the goaltending coaches, everybody involved. Like, I can't believe they just threw him in there in this game and said, hey, go figure this out. I said it on the morning show, Nick, like, if they get behind the 8 ball here and they have to chase this game, they're going to be in a bad spot. And if it's because Stolarz is shaky and has any type of, you know, a rough start in this one, like, you're going to immediately regret this and all of a sudden be looking and going, wow, why did we take that time to experiment here? Like, not the game to be doing it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other points, Nick?
What am I going to say? Yeah, hopefully you get a few wins in the next couple of games before the Olympic break, and hopefully they build on from there after once the Olympic games are done. They're really going to need it if they want to make it to playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I guess on the positive side, if you go on some type of miracle run and get yourself into the playoffs, maybe you've picked up momentum at the right time and you figure out how to play the right way to get yourself ready for the playoffs, which would be a very different pace than what you've been dealing with in the last however many seasons, where you always kind of just waltz your way into the playoffs and it doesn't really matter and you're not playing with that intensity over the last couple of months. This year it could really matter. And if you have to go on a roll and you have to get yourself into the playoffs by playing playoff hockey for a month and a half straight, maybe by the time you get there, if you get there, then you're in a good position to keep it rolling. But Nick, thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Zach.
Sorry about getting cut off as well. That's
no, it's all right.
All right. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it. All right, there you go. Nick on the line. We got two more callers to get to here. Just a reminder to people, 24 likes away from hitting 250 on the post game. Almost 400 people still watching, almost 3 hours into this one. So keep liking, keep commenting, keep subscribing. So Leafs Nation 401 right here on YouTube as well. A reminder to people, if you haven't already, send in those super chats. I want to read all of them. Proceeds from our super chats go to Sick Kids Charity. Last year we raised about $4,500, I think it was, for Sick Kids Charity, which is pretty amazing. This season, I want to surpass that because it is for the kids. So remember, send in those super chats because proceeds from our super chats, they go to Sick Kids Charity. 2 hours and 54 minutes, as 6 1/3 points out in the chat. Next caller on the line. Let's get to our guy, Scott from Bracebridge. Scott, how you doing tonight?
Bracebridge, Scott. That's me.
What's up, Scott? How are you? Yeah, I got you.
I'm good. I'm pretty good. This is going to be pretty quick, Zach.
All right.
I appreciate you putting me on here. I wanted this will be really quick. I wanted to just say, my first call was on Monday night.
Yep.
And I had a few people say, he's pretty hammered. I'm hammered tonight. But what I want to say about tonight was that they should never put Stolarz in.
Yep.
Shouldn't have put Stolarz in tonight. That's my main thing. And also, I really like Steve's call just there. I know he just cut in, but he was really good. I loved his enthusiasm. Even though I didn't agree with everything he said, I do enjoy his enthusiasm.
Yeah, he was fired up.
I wanted to say on Wednesday night's game, I was going to call in with a hot take, and you had a caller, I think it was JB Anderson, comedian.
Yeah.
Do you remember him?
Yep.
I loved that call. And I had a hot take. I was going to call in, and he said that thing that everybody laughed at about, it was about Riley being a forward, and he should be. I really think, I'm not going to talk about tonight. I just think that they should not have put Stolarz in tonight. And the Leafs were behind the 8 ball right away because of that. I think the Leafs were the better team for half of the game. They just could not catch up. And they lost the game. That's just the way that was.
Yep.
But I want to go back to that thing where everybody laughed at the idea of Riley being a forward. And to be honest with you, and he also said, think about it for a minute, and everybody laughed. But really, it's tiring to hear people say, trade Riley, get rid of Riley. You can't. He's got a no movement contract.
Yeah.
And I think they probably last summer asked him if he would trade. He's not going to go away. He's not going to. So we are stuck with a $7.5 million contract for Riley, and you have like 4 choices. It's either put him in the minors, get him out of here, put him in the press box, put him on the third D and give him like 7 or 8 minutes. He can't play defense. He's not a defenseman. He was a fantastic defenseman. He's the longest tenure player on the team, and he's when they were gonna back in the day when they were gonna announce a captain, I thought he should be the captain. There was 3 choices. It was Riley, Tavares, or Matthews. And then, Daddy Paul Marner came in and said, "Oh, we got to fucking, Mitchie should be the captain." And then they had to give, Marner the share of the assistant captain just to appease him. I've never liked him ever since then. And that was way back.
Yeah.
Right? But what I'm saying is that Riley has been a good guy all along. Yeah. And now he's not a defenseman. He's not. He's got to the point where we're what are we going to do with the guy? And really, we're paying him $7.5 million a year. You can't get away from it. He's got a contract for the next 2 or 3, 4 years. I don't know what's going on. I think it's another 3 or 4 years. So you can't put him on defense. He's not a defenseman anymore. He doesn't know how. After all these years, he can't play defense. I don't know why, but he always wants to be He's a forward. He always wants to be. He's always he's always deep, and then he gets caught. So just make him a left winger. Put him with. Okay, I want to say one more thing to do with this. Right, a lot of people my age, like I'm a lot like you in a way. Right, I was a hockey player when I was younger. I'm 5'10". I'm 180 pounds. I'm 67, not 27. I could be your granddad, right? But I remember. Do you remember a guy? You probably don't know this, but maybe a lot of guys my age would know Red Kelly.
Yep.
Red Kelly. Red Kelly won 8 Stanley Cups. 4 Stanley Cups as a defenseman with Detroit. And then came to Toronto and won 4 Stanley Cups with the Leafs as a forward. You can make a defenseman a forward. Red Kelly won 4 Stanley Cups with the Toronto Maple Leafs as a forward.
Maybe it's time. Scott, maybe it's time.
Everybody laughed at it the other night when J.D. Anderson, comedian, said it. And Vic was on, and Vic just says, "I'm not even going to talk about this. You need to talk about it. This is something we need to talk about because we are stuck with this guy. We're stuck with him.
Yeah, we are.
He's just got a $7.5 million contract. For several more years. He's not moving. So I would say make him a forward. Put him on the left wing with Matthews or Marner. Just give him a chance to be a forward because he can't play defense. Let's just face it. He's not good.
Fair enough, Scott. I think a lot of people in the chat are with you there as well. I think a lot of people in the chat are frustrated with his play right now. So completely get it. At some point, maybe you got to be creative. Maybe that's a guy you put in forward. Maybe that's a way to open up some space on the defensive side and pick up a guy. But Scott, thank you for the call tonight, my man. I appreciate it. This is number 2, but looking forward to many more.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott. Yep, from Bracebridge. Scott from Bracebridge. There you go. Thanks, Scott. All right, one more caller to get to here to close out the night. Thank you to everybody who has called in, who has liked, who has subscribed. All of the good stuff here on the post-game show. Just quickly before this last caller, just pointing out to people, we have another super chat that's come in. Michael says, Zach, only 2 options for you to choose. No explanations needed. A, trade Stetcher first. Trades 28 first, the Leafs in the playoffs. 2, keep 28 pick. Oh, the 28th pick. And Boston gets 7th overall pick. Well, they don't have the... Trade the 28th first, Leafs in the playoffs. Keep 28th pick, and Boston gets 7th overall. Well, I think you'd want to get in the playoffs based on the question. I don't really know. I don't know. It's kind of confusing how the question was put. I'm not really entirely sure. Thanks for the super chat, though. Okay, let's get to our final caller here on the night. Let's welcome him into the program. We're not going to do for too long, but we are at 3 hours here on the postgame show, so let's welcome in Prague to close this one out. What's up, Prague?
Zach, okay, so I took my nephew for his first game ever.
Yep.
Poor guy had to watch that. And honestly, I was proud of the fans that booed and didn't stand up. There was a lot of them.
Yep.
And but the ones who aren't they don't know anything. They don't know their butt from their a hole in the ground. Like it just they're the ones who stood up to give him props. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I got you.
Okay, give me 1 second. Give me 1 sec. Sorry.
Okay. All good. Yeah, I mean, as far as the booing and cheering stuff, I was really interested to see Prague how that went with the video tribute and how people were gonna react.
Sorry, I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Can you hear me now?
It's sort of low. Okay. Sorry, because I took off my earphones.
Yeah.
I used them in the car to try to listen because I was driving.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, I got you. I can hear you.
Okay, I can barely hear you. Hold on.
Okay, maybe you need to turn your volume up. Mine's up.
Sorry. I'll have to put at least one earphone back on.
Okay.
Anyways, I was just so you know what happened in terms of there's 3 Leaf hits of any consequence. 2 were by Michelli, 1 was by Matthews, all in the second period. I think McCabe accidentally ran into Marner once, but he almost apologized afterwards. It was pretty pathetic. So if you look at the stats for hits, it's bullshit. I listened to the JD Bunkus podcast as I was driving home. Then I started listening to you.
No promos.
No, I'm just saying, because this is key to what Nick C was saying about Berube and all that stuff, and Stolarz. How many practices did Stolarz have with the AHL, with the Marlies, after getting cleared with injury?
I have no idea, to be honest. I have no idea. I have no idea. 2?
1.
1, okay, yeah.
1.
Yeah.
And he got assigned, I think, Wednesday for a conditioning stint, which is usually 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
And I thought at least they'd get a few practices in, because Wall, when he was coming back, he played 2 games, was it, with the Marlies? He didn't do well, but that's just because it's the Marlies and it's not the same as being an NHLer with that kind of defense. But I don't understand. I don't know what Berube hockey is. Is it what last year was or this year? Because I'm just tired of it. His whether he had a concussion today or not, he's been brutal. He doesn't understand his goalies, even though he had them last year. He doesn't play Hildeby. Wall could play brutally, and Hildeby could save his ass, and he'll never play Hildeby. And Scott Laughton,
I think that's changed this year. Tonight, I agree with the it was a bad decision. Tonight, I agree with the bad decision. I think it's changed this year, though. But tonight, I agree it was a bad decision to rush Stolarz back into this one and play.
Well, remember, earlier in the season, he played Hayden Primo 3 times and played Stolarz the other 13 games in the first
Yes,
16 games.
but you're ignoring the fact that it's changed over time. Like, there has been a progression here. He has evolved, and he's played Hilda a lot more over the course of this season. So it has changed. It has changed. Early, yes, I agree with you. Last year, yes, I agree with you. And also tonight, I think
No, last year he was actually better.
No,
last year he was better because he was doing
him.
2-1. He was doing 2-1. Whoever was hot, he'd play for 2 games, and then the other guy would play 1, especially once he realized they were injured. But this year he just doesn't do that. And like I felt bad because I was sitting with my nephew. Like I had to borrow money for this because I'm dealing with my health, so I'm just not working at the moment. But there was a guy, John, Scottish guy. He's from Scotland and he moved here in 1974. And then he came in with his grandson from New Brunswick. He was sitting right beside me. Great gentleman. Like and he said he started watching them as soon as he got here. He's a big fan and whatever. But like this is the only game he was able to afford to go to, and I guess it was he wanted to bring his grandson, and like we had a nice conversation. I learned a lot, but like I saw newfies, I saw people from like Australia and like stuff like that, and they were just like demoralized because like literally the only period the Leafs showed up was the second, and that was only like 5-10 minutes in or something. They didn't really do anything. They scored because they have talent, but honestly, they had 16 shots apparently after the second period. After the third, they had 21 on the scoreboard, and Vegas also had 16 shots after the second period. After the third, at the end of the third, they had 31. So that's 5-15. Leafs had 5 shots in the third period. What are we talking about? We were down 4-3. And like Scott Laughton was playing well. Like a lot of the players were playing well. Michelli actually hit pretty good. He had a reverse hit. And I think there was one that was not seen on the camera. But it was like, it got a lot of fans. And I loved all the fans who were booing and never stood up. I think it was the majority, but you're not going to see that on TV because it's the Leafs and Rogers is shit. And at least for hockey. And every time he touched it, I was booing as loud as I can. My nephew was, like everybody was. And my nephew was more of a Raptors fan. But so I was proud of that. But like, what I saw was our team going soft on him, feeling bad for him, and the other team showing up for him. Like Mark Stone, like the entire team, Hurdle, like everybody was showing up for him. And our team wouldn't even show up for our own goalie, who's been injured. He played pretty well. Like
okay. No, that one though. I said earlier. I had another caller call in and say that I think it was Scott Thompson also said, I might be getting wrong if it wasn't Scott, but also said that they didn't like that. My disagreement or Jamie said that. My disagreement with that is it's 4-3 with 7 minutes left, and it's your first power play of the game. You cannot be going in there guns a-blazing and risking any opportunity to eviscerate that power play. You're down 1 goal in the third period. That is not the time to be going in and taking a penalty. That's not the time to be letting that even up.
I think you misunderstood me. I'm not talking about.
You said defending the goaltender. What were you going to do? Like, you have to be
No. I'm not
careful.
saying defend the goaltender. I'm not saying that. No. I'm saying the game as a whole. We didn't. Like they showed. I feel like they disrespected Leafs Nation, all the fans, whether they like across the world and in North America specifically, because they okay. First of all, Auston Matthews is not a captain. He didn't show up. He didn't take an interview before or after the game. And that just I don't even understand that. Especially after a game, he's the captain. JT did. Our actual captain.
Yeah. So Mike in Buffalo did point out how that works. It's not Matthews' decision. That's the Leafs PR team who chooses that, which I agree is the wrong decision, but it's wrong to put that blame on Matthews.
I'm sorry. Like, Matthews could decide. He's a grown boy, and he's also the captain. You could just say, what, the PR team's going to tell Matthews what he can and cannot say or do?
Yeah. Okay, sure. Fair enough. Sure.
And okay, so now, first, like we were barely at our seats when they scored. I think it was the first shot because but like it was just pathetic. The first period was pathetic. There was really no hitting. There was like literally 3 hits that I remember, and the one that happened. They showed no heart. Lawton showed heart. Like there was players who were trying, but tell me, how does Lawton continue? Like, what does Berube hate about Lawton that he keeps? Like, I think he played 10. Did he play 10 minutes tonight?
9 minutes and 28 seconds.
What the actual fuck? Like, Michelli was playing well, so whatever. But like all the players were playing well, but like in terms of the non-big name guys, right? But like, and Wasey the goal, and not Patrick Waugh, Nick, and
yeah, he did.
That was basically it bumped. I think it accidentally bumped off Marner, so that would have been just horrific.
Yep.
I would have just been like, oh my god. But anyways, but like Matthews only showed up in the second. But like, if Lawton's if somebody's playing well, I don't think Nick or Easton were not playing great tonight. Like as in,
no, they didn't.
Usually they bring more fire than that. But I didn't. They're not as noticeable. But Lawton was noticeable. Move him up, play him more.
Yep.
Like if you see a player playing well, do it. But like, and if you looked at our power play, like I think it was only last like 10, 15 seconds of it that we were actually doing anything.
Yeah, it was like the last 30 seconds, but by the time they finally got anything set up and they just didn't get anything dangerous. But like that was the thing to me, the story of the third, because I part agree with you, part disagree on the third, where you said they only showed up for the second. I think they played well in the third, but they just refused to go to the middle of the ice in the offensive zone. And it was the same thing with the power play. Like they got up, they got a cycle game going, they would hold possession, they would dominate in the offensive zone, but it wasn't like shot, chance, regroup, get the puck back, turn it into a second or a third chance opportunity. It was just constantly like, get in, hold possession, now what? And it's the same shit as the power play. Like, you struggle to get in, you finally get in. Okay, perimeter hockey, around the outside, pass the puck around, everyone hangs around the outside. And it was the same with that power play. They finally worked their way up to get into the zone and hold possession on that power play. They did nothing other than pass the puck around the outside, and then they just kind of looked at it and were like, all right, well, now there's 15 seconds left. Let's see if we can get one to the middle. And it was like a shot through by OEL that he tried to get a high tip on. It was a really great attempt by OEL to do so, but it doesn't capitalize, and then that's the end of your power play. It wasn't good enough. So, like, that's why I'm going to have a slight pushback on you on the third period. I did think they maintained puck possession really well. Vegas did have a few times in that third where they just, like, crossed the blue line and shot it, which I think was in part because Stolarz was so shaky. They were like, hey, we're going to get an opportunity here to squeak one by him or maybe get a huge rebound. Like we saw that Riley Smith shot in the second period. It basically went into Stolarz's chest, and it's the first time in history where a shot's hit a guy in the chest and ended up behind him, and then the team and Stetcher ends up having to clean it up. But like, I think that's part of why they were getting shots, and so many more than the Leafs were in the third period. But like, I did think they played well in the third. It was just way too little, way too late, not enough shots. Like, you don't go to the middle of the ice. You're struggling to get stuff going. Just put pucks on net. How did the Bobby McMahon goal get scored? Max Domi circles out high, fires a floater through, gets a tip, and it ends up in the net. Why does that not resonate with the team to say, hey, let's keep trying that in the third? Let's keep doing that in the third. Why does that fade from these guys from one period to the next?
Okay, so one point. You're correct about the possession, but I'm thinking, like, okay, they had good possession. They go in, and they wouldn't even get a shot anywhere near the net. Must have missed like 4 times during the game, high and wide by like a mile. He probably would have hit Seattle more than he would have hit that net. But like, what's the point of possession? My point is, if you have possession, get something to the net.
I agree.
So, like,
I agree.
So like, I don't give a shit if you have possession all night and you end up the score is still 6-3. What's the point of
No,
possession
no,
if
no,
you only
no.
get 5 shots?
Well, I don't. I just want to make it clear. I don't disagree with you. I just think it's unfair to say like they only showed up for the
they
second.
did play somewhat well in that way, but like
They were at bare
Riley-
minimum
okay.
going toe to toe with the Golden Knights in the third period in terms of like pace of play and getting up and down the ice. And it wasn't like they just spent the whole time in their zone. So the shot chart is not going to be indicative of how the third period was played. But to your point and what you are correct about, and I agree with you 100%, is what's the point if you just stand around on the peripheral and refuse to go to the middle of the ice? Even think about the JT goal. Nyes gets up the ice. He gets to the top of the circle. He hits a hard cutback, gets to the middle, shoots the puck. Aiden Hill has trouble regrouping off of it, hitting the post, and Johnny T crashes the net and scores. Everything they did tonight that generated any type of offensive success was going to the middle of the ice and shooting pucks. And then they just decided not to in the third.
Yeah, and no,
Yes,
I'm
yes,
agreeing
yes.
with you too. Like I forgot about possession, but like a lot of people around me, even John, the Scottish gentleman, with his grandson from New Brunswick, he even made a comment about it. Like he had his hands in it, like his head in his hands, several times because he'd be like every time he was like everybody was excited. There's some people who like we'd like could have sit on the edge of the seat, like oh yeah they got a good entrance, they got this, they got that, and then they're just like circling around and round and round, and then nobody's shooting the puck. There's people going into the front, but it's like the best players tonight were not the players you expect. Like, okay, other than JT, the best players were all the new guys and whatever. And it was just, except for, Matthews showed up really well in the second. In terms
And the
of, like,
third
how
just
he
didn't
actually,
shoot.
And I'll be honest with you, that shot by OEL, you could tell he is injured. You could tell even how he's like skating. And in our power play, that last 30 seconds, what changed? Look when OEL got into like Riley was playing the first like minute and a half or whatever it was, and as soon as OEL changed, they still had most of their original PP1 there. But you saw like there was almost more intensity and better passing, quicker passing, and whatever. And there's people saying shoot, and there was several times that Domi didn't shoot, and I was like, don't be a Mitch. Like I said, it really loud my voice travels, but like, and like, it's really at this point I don't know what to say because in 3 games, right, we've gotten 1 point.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no reason because, like, okay, Vegas played last night.
Yep.
They had to travel from Boston.
Yep.
They looked tired. They didn't look unbeatable. They didn't really play like nobody. Like I was talking to people in line for different things. When I bought my nephew some food and stuff, and I was talking all around, and I'm always amped up. So, especially at a game. And it was just like, nobody was like that impressed by how the Golden Knights played. But they were just disappointed by how the Leafs played overall. Because like, even those goals, outside like, most of the second period, they didn't like, yeah, they looked more dangerous, but honestly, after 2 periods, the Golden Knights only had 16 shots, and the Leafs finally caught up. But like, it's pretty pathetic. And even in the first, like you said, there was nobody going to the net, and the people who were playing well, like Lawton and Michelli and whatever, they won't play Lawton. And I'm like,
yep.
Nyes is definitely hurt. OEL is definitely hurt. Like,
Well,
I
even
don't even
just
know why
looking
he
at that
played.
third line, like, why not take your minutes away from Robertson and Cowan? Like, recognize tonight's not their night. They're not playing well. Let's move Lawton up in the lineup. Keep Calle Yarncroke's minutes down. Keep him out. Keep Cowan's minutes down. Keep Robertson's minutes down. Put Yarncroke and Lawton
Lawrence was
and
not playing
Lorenz.
well, but like,
But
Lawrence was not
move
playing that
them up
great,
over
but-
the other guys. He was at least
yeah,
bringing like
100%.
high pace. He was forechecking hard. He was out there,
Yeah, okay,
at least going balls to the wall and contributing more so than Cowan and Robertson were. Why is that adjustment not made? Why do you look at the box score at the end of the night and he played 2 minutes less than Cowan and Robertson? Why did Lawton play a minute less than Cowan and Robertson? It doesn't make sense. That's poor management. That's poor management to your lineup tonight.
Dude, that's the whole point. Like, haven't we been saying this for months now? Like, when Lawton got back, you saw the team kind of had an uplift, but the problem was still Berube switching lines like 30,000 times a day and during a game, and no chemistry. What changed? What changed was in December, like there was talk about getting fired. Savard is not the problem. He was never the problem. The only thing changed was instead of just doing dump and chase bullshit, because like Berube is doing what he was told to do, because he was never like the skilled player, and now, but then they started letting the skilled players kind of do some dishing, do some like whatever, and Matthews and they started letting players play on lines consistently to develop the chemistry and then improve it. Mm-hmm. Like if you remember before Robertson, Cowan, and Waugh, there was McMahon, Bobby, Waugh, and Joshua, right? DJ. Mm-hmm. They were on fire. Like they're all like contributing. They're all scoring. They're having like about a third or half of the goals, and sometimes they were like the hottest line on our team for a few nights there. Yeah. And then Joshua gets hurt, and he switches it up, and Bobby was on fire tonight too. Michelli had some, like he did a reverse hit that maybe was on TV, but that reverse hit that was pretty sweet. But then there was another hit that it was in the corner, and he was like trying to go for a puck, but I don't think that went on TV because they weren't able to show a replay. They showed it like around, but not at, and like the crowd cheered, and there was like some oohs and ahs from that. But like, holy crap! Like when these guys who are 5'11", 5'10", well, probably 5'9", and change and like nothing are playing like that. I'm glad they played them, but like, shouldn't the rest of the team, the ones who were there, care? And I'm just so like, okay.
Well, final point, Prague. We got 20 minutes out of you.
Okay, so my final point
wrap
is,
up. We're 3:25 3 hours and 25 minutes.
Sorry.
1:10 a.m.
No, I really appreciate. First of all, I really appreciate what you do and everything. Everybody who's doing it. But like at this point, if we're getting 1 point every 3 games and 1 point against a division rival who doesn't have the team we have in terms of, but they have better defense. Every team has better defense, but like they don't have the team that can score. We can score at will if we want to, but it was just like this whole team showed their ass. Like to me, them and the organization just made it as soft as possible. They only showed videos that showed pictures of all the fans wearing Marner jerseys. They didn't show the people booing. They didn't show, like, there's a lot of people who came just to show their disdain, and they came from all over the world and across Canada. They brought their grandson, they brought their whatever. And what the Leafs showed was nothing but disdain to the fans. The fans who don't, like, I can't afford tickets. I can afford tickets if I go to Buffalo or somewhere else because it's a lot cheaper. Mm-hmm. And you get a lot better tickets. But like, I've gone into debt for this. I'm doing as much as I can, and I'm trying to take my nieces can come, but my nephew could, and like they have the balls to show this, increase the prices this year, and then increase the prices for this ticket, and then also two drinks, two Coke, like in the plastic bottles, and a popcorn was $39.
Yeah, it's crazy.
How the hell, like, and you go to Atlanta Falcons game, nothing's over like $6 American.
Yeah, and
that's the NFL. Please, like, I'm just tired of this whole thing, and I don't see any way out unless and And lots of players in the last 2 years have been traded who had no move clauses. So that's not a thing. That's just a bullshit thing that like I'm tired of hearing excuses of why we can't do things. How did Vegas just got Rasmus Anderson? How did they do that? How did they get how did these teams do this? San Jose, we don't have we spend our picks and our prospects stupidly. We don't understand what the problem is. We can't identify, our management doesn't have a clue. And then we overspend. I love Lawton and I want him re-signed. But at this point, tell him, listen, dude, we'll re-sign you for a long contract. We'll give you money. But we need to recoup something because we are literally have 3 picks this year. I think we have 4 picks next year. And we are down a pick in 2028, a pick or 2 in 2028, and 1 pick in 2029. And what do we have?
Yeah.
Cowan and Ben Danford and a bunch of maybes. I love Harry Nancy and a bunch of, but the last 2 picks last year were just on guys that people in their coaches were surprised they got picked. Like Matthew Lecar. The coach told, I think it was Steve Dangle, that he was shocked. That just means anybody can get picked. And that's we picked a guy who, and I'm just I'm tired of the management. I'm tired of the coaching because I'm sorry, I can't give Berube a pass and I can't give these players a pass. Morgan Riley should not see the ice again until he's traded.
Yeah.
Because at this point, he's not contributing. I don't know why we had Benning and Quillen up, and you have an injured OEL. There's no injury in the world. Think about this. If you injure your shoulder, even if it's a minor strain, will you start pitching? Does that not make it worse?
You're not pitching. but I mean, look, it's up to the player. If he thinks he can play through it, he can play through it. I'm not going to argue him on that. So, look, I don't want to do the injury thing here tonight, Prague. But in terms of decisions that are being made and stuff, I get it. I get the decisions and stuff. Berube is very frustrating here tonight for me as well. I'm with you on the Lawton thing. We did a long time here on the show tonight talking about why he didn't play more and why those decisions were made. No, it's all good. I'm not trying to say you're not allowed to say that again. I'm just saying, I agree with you, dude, and I agree with you. The Stolarz thing was mysterious. Why doesn't he go on a conditioning line? Why doesn't he play a game? Why does he go for one fucking practice to the AHL? It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. Why doesn't Dennis Hildeby play tonight? Or you really, really, really don't want Dennis Hildeby to play? Okay, maybe you have to play Joseph Woll, and then you work in Stolarz on Sunday, and you work in Hildeby on Tuesday, and you work your way through it. But you cannot play Stolarz tonight. You just can't. You can't. There's no excuse for playing Anthony Stolarz tonight. All right, Prague.
Have a good night, man. And Stolarz could have re-injured himself, and
well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do the whole he could have re-injured
himself. No, but I mean
himself.
That's what happens when you come back after 3 months or 2 months, 2.5 months of not playing. He hasn't played since Remembrance Day.
But that could happen with anybody, and that could happen if he goes to the AHL and then he goes on a conditioning loan there and he plays a game. He could have got injured in the AHL playing a game. It could have happened.
Yeah, but I mean, that. This is much more dangerous because they're faster players, bigger players, stronger players. And
I mean,
this is just
he could get injured waking up in the morning. Jack Hughes got injured at dinner. You know what I mean? That's
anyway. Sorry.
That's my only pushback on that. But all right, Prague. Thank you for the call tonight.
Have a good night, eh? Thank you so much.
Right.
And yeah, at least it's earlier on Sunday to see the defeat.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, Prague. Thank you.
Have a good night. Cheers, brother.
Thanks, you too. Good night. All right, there you go. Prague on the line. That'll do it for the calls tonight. Appreciate everyone who did call into the post-game show. Appreciate everybody who called in for the first time, for the millionth time, for the second time, for the fifth time. I don't give a shit. Thank you to everyone who called. Thanks to all the super chats, the likes, the comments. 2:30 here tonight. We still over 300 viewers on the YouTube channel right now. 3.5 hour post-game show. A couple things to wrap up here. Let's go to our play of the game first. Play of the game, in all honesty, might be the Nick Waugh save, because it would have been Marner who scored, and he got no points in this one, so keeping him off the score sheet. I mean, it's just the perfect Mitch Marner big game night. Big game, Toronto hyped up. Mitch 0 goals, 0 assists, 1 shot on goal. I think he had 0 takeaways, 0 block shots, 0 hits. Like he had nothing tonight in this one on the score sheet at least. So nothing for him. Maybe it's that takeaway. Scott Laughton goal. Scott Thompson says I could get behind that as the play of the game. Kudos to Scott Laughton. Like B-way after the last game when you get the penalty shot to make up for it and score that one. A nifty little move, goes backhand 5-hole on Aiden Hill. I don't mind that call of the play of the game there. Honorable mention, the reverse hit by Matias Michelli. It took us 3 hours to get there, and Prague finally brought it up. But, honorable mention to that one. With that, let's get to our grade of the game, and let's wrap this thing up. Grade of the game. F. It's a vibe one more than a performance one. Show up late. Anthony Stolarz played poor. Didn't score on a power play late. Let it get away from you. Bad play by Jake McCabe to send it back the other way. Fall asleep a minute in. Jack Eichel's alone. Like, it's an F. It's an F. It's a full F for this team. You need to win. You need to get points, and you didn't. It's a failure tonight for me. That is all for tonight's post-game show. Thanks to all the callers. Thanks to Mike in Buffalo. Thanks to the chat for sticking with me the entire time here. Thanks to everybody on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you're participating here on the postgame show. I appreciate it as always. Thank you. Yeah, Nicholas. Grade of the game is an F. Everyone gets an F except Scott Laughton. Okay. Scotty Laughton was good tonight. I agree with that as well. Thank you guys. I will be back on Sunday for the afternoon game against the Colorado Avalanche. I don't know, man. You lose that one, and I think that the conversations we have start to get pretty dark here yet again on the post-game show. But thanks to all of you who called in and watched. Thanks to all of you who liked and subscribed. I'll see you guys on Sunday. Until then, keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos, make sure to subscribe here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on